Hello and welcome back to Generic Board Podcast. I'm your host, the Goose, Josh.
And I'm John.
And pretty zen this week because of what happened this weekend. Yeah, everything was out of our control. And we just have to accept. My Broncos are out of the playoffs and the Dolphins lost by a lot. We'll get into it more, but we are zen. We're also recording it like really late and then people quiet. I don't have to worry about a lot going on right now. So it was nice. With that being said, yes.
I was like, Zen, aren't we sad?
Zen is masking the sad.
This is masking the sad of this is week 17.
Yes.
Where have all the time gone?
It's been a long season. Quick, fast,
painful.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Painful is a good way to go about it. Let's start with, in some ways, the most painful game of the week. Lions losing 19-20 to the Cowboys.
Yes, that was pain, mainly because of the ref.
Yeah, Brad Allen, who not the first time his crew have made some really bad calls. Let's start with the no call against the Eagles when the Dolphins played them. And then that ridiculous call of Patrick Mahomes getting hit out of bounds while he was inbound. And then the no pass interference when there was pass interference in that Chiefs Packers game. So there was a lot of mistakes there. And he broke like one of the biggest like cardinal sins. He assumed made an ass out of you and me, or at least out of himself and the Detroit Lions.
Right, like
he thought number 70 was.
He just assumed because number 70
reported eligible
previously, or he knew that other times, so he assumed it was him again. Not that he wanted to pay attention.
Right, to the player that was like right to his side, probably yelling at him, calling out like he's as far as you and me are. And yeah, sure, the stadium's loud, but like don't assume that you're like look at the closest player, right. He's there, and he's probably like is Skipper coming up number 70? Yeah, but he's not. He didn't do anything to motion or coming up, so he automatically is assumed. We need something more than like we need a signal to get it. Like they usually do. I forget if they did the basically like the Wakanda Forever, the double arm, the arms crossed like an X tapping something. I forget if that's how they did it as a visible sign. So we need something to confirm. And a point, do the X, then point and be like, and then give a signal back, confirm. That's all we need. We need like a couple X's and a Ekram, like the player that is like, I know it kind of takes away from the tackle eligible, but maybe also just realize look at the formation. Maybe we don't need a report tackle eligible if the formation shows something like that, because there have been plenty of plays where there's been a penalty for illegal formation, meaning not all the players are set on the line, something like that. So just make basically if somebody's not lined up, or if somebody's lined up in the tackle eligible spot, just confirm it. That's an automatic. Defense has to play for it. It's definitely going to be a rules discussion. Now I will say on the other side of it, there's a couple other sides or thought. One, I love Dan Camp, but after the penalty, just kick the extra point, go for the tie, go win it out in an overtime. Like your defense was doing pretty good. It would have been a 20-20 game. Like 39 points. Like I know you were trying to go for the win, but
I think he was just angry and
I know we talked off mic about about coach's mistakes, and we'll get into it later. But this was the second biggest mistake of the weekend, in my opinion, as far as coaching goes. But to be fair, that they were gifted this, because the third biggest mistake was Mike McCarthy's time management. Why did he throw the ball? Have Dak throw the ball. If he just ran it, that's more time off the clock and less of an opportunity. The Lions would have had to rush. You gave him like almost a full minute. Like I think it was like 50 seconds, about a minute, because the clock would have been down to like 20 seconds after the field goal if they ran a play to kill the clock, because they were out of timeout. So that's just a poor excuse. They were just fortunate that the Lions even get that far. So that was still the Cowboys. Like the Lions get through, yeah, but it was really at that point the Cowboys just making mistakes, and that's why it sucks, because if you make mistakes like not keeping the clock moving, and we speak like this as fans, we totally understand that in the middle of the game it's totally different because you're not thinking completely straight. But isn't that a sign of a good head coach? Like that's not a mistake I think Belichick made. Not a mistake I don't think Kyle Shanahan would make. I think some of the greats do have made. I know Andy Reid had some clock management mistakes, John Payton, a few others, but there are coaches that make these mistakes because we're not they're into the game. But it's not I try and say it, but it's not in a game. You need to be better and be more in the situation. You need maybe an assistant head coach to help you with that stuff. You got a lot of people on the field. Get some help. I know the coach is the leader in the head, but sometimes a good leader listens to their second in command.
Right, not someone like they're walking
Not like, Picard didn't always listen. Picard listened to Riker sometimes. Riker, needed to be like, no, you're not fit, or I know something's up. This is not the Jean-Luc Picard. There have been plenty of times where in Star Trek and other shows where we need the number one to help guide and help focus the coach. And I think that was a very missed opportunity. Well, for both sides, the Cowboys definitely got lucky.
Yeah, well, I know, and they would have tied it, even if they tied it, or even they made it, like, there was still only 3 seconds left. Like, Dak could have just thrown one pass to CD Lamb, they could have been up at it. It would have made the game a little more fun. Or gone to overtime. Could have had an extra quarter of it. I just don't understand, I understand about being angry. When you're angry, you need to be able to control your emotions.
Yep. And speaking of head coaches, big shout out to Jimmy Johnson for making the Ring of Fame.
Yeah, the Cowboys Ring of Fame.
Yeah, that was an awesome ceremony. He deserved it for years. I was shocked that I forget how many years he really was there, because he's a legendary coach, and obviously he should have won 3 rings with them. Probably more if they put them around, but
if they didn't have egos between him and Jerry, and that's probably why it's taken until 2023 to get into their Ring of Fame or Wall of Fame or whatever, Ring of Honor or whatever.
What was I gonna say? Oh, there's so much I want to say. He was definitely, I love Troy Aikman and the Cowboys back when I was growing up first. So, I always remember, they always had them on in the afternoon when growing up in Vegas, especially when we didn't have a team. So, they would be one of the teams you'd normally see. So just, and I actually probably remember him more growing up as a pregame show for Fox and the halftime show. So it was and it was awesome to see, his friends from the shows, Michael Strahan and, where I saw Howie Long and others being there, and it was just an awesome moment. Of course, he had to say his line. So congratulations, Jimmy Johnson, you deserve it.
Yes, congrats.
That being said, I think we shall move on to the Jets and the Browns. There's nothing much really else to say about that. CeeDee Lamb had a career day. He broke Michael Irving's records. That he was also in attendance, so he had more yards. For a season, I think he had the most yards in a game for a Cowboy, most receptions in a season for a Cowboy.
Right.
So
CeeDee Lamb and Raheem Mostert breaking multiple franchise records for their team.
Right. In the same amount of games, because they did it 16. Mostert did it in less.
Yeah.
He even missed this week, so
right. He didn't have any chance to further extend the record.
So we'll see what happens. He definitely will be working on it this coming week.
So as we was set to move on, but double back.
Right. Well, CeeDee Lamb had a good career day, so we didn't
really legitimately talk about the game. We just talked about the controversy
because it was a very close and tight game, and that was the most important part. He had a 92-yard touchdown too, so that was great. That could have been a safety. So the fact that he turned that into the Dak got away, turned that into a pass that CeeDee Lamb he basically walked it in after a while. He was untouched. So.
Man, they just better hope they don't play each other again in the playoffs. I feel like the Lions are going to be pissed.
Gonna go for 2-point conversions each time, aren't they?
Right. First touchdown play in the red zone is going to be the tackle eligible.
Right. Maybe second. They'll know that. No. But now I think we can move on to the round.
Joe Flacco is taking the Browns to the playoffs. Weird sentence to say.
Started off really competitive. One went in for a touchdown, the other went in for a touchdown. And the Browns went in for another touchdown, and the Jets turned it over. I think they got another touchdown from that. I know they got a defensive touchdown. It was back and forth. There were a lot of touchdowns. The Jets were playing pretty good there. They tried to stay competitive, and the Browns just kind of really took it out of reach. They carried it away for a win.
Yep, the Brown, former Jets quarterback Joe Flacco, who's throwing to former Jets receiver Elijah Moore, beating that.
I forgot Elijah Moore was a Jet. Other than that, the defense looked great. This team can travel. I know they played in Cleveland, but this team, first of all, I'm sure Browns fans will get into the stadium. Second of all, I'm sure Browns fans, they can win just channeling the energy from Cleveland. They're playing so good.
If the Browns had Joe Flacco from the start of the season, they probably would be the number 1 seed in the AFC.
If we got this Joe Flacco, I should say.
Yeah, if this Joe Flacco.
Maybe that's why it's working, because he wasn't there for off season stuff. Like he didn't tire himself out. He's well rested off the couch.
All right, it's a good time to. It's the right time to be streaking.
Yep, we'll see what happens because they don't have to play. They don't move up or down with a win, right? So
I don't know if they're 11. Yeah, they're 11-5. So yeah, no one can. I don't think anyone takes 5.
right, because if I think
the Bills are the only one that could reach 11, but they win division, so they can't take 5. So they would move ahead of them, not take 5 seed.
And I think that the Dolphins would have. I think they have a better conference win record. They've got some. I think they've got the tiebreakers.
Yeah, no, that's based on what I've heard, the Dolphins can only go to the 6 seed. There's only like 4 opponents the Dolphins can play. 3 if we want, 3 different ones if we win, 1 if we lose. So that means we can't take 5 seed.
Yeah.
So more on the Dolphins when I begrudgingly get that game.
I mean, we're kind of done with that the Jets and the Browns.
Yeah, just more on we're still talking about the Browns for next week, but yeah, they can rest their players if they choose to.
I mean, I would at least rest my big ones like Joe Flacco, probably Kareem Hunt, Njoku, Amari Cooper.
Yeah, Jerome Ford,
and Myles Garrett. And is Denzel Ward playing, or if he is, I would rest him.
Yeah, Ward's playing.
Okay, then I would. That's probably that's about it as far as who I'd rest.
Yeah, you can only rest so many players because of
right. You need your important ones to rest, and maybe an O lineman or two, like the important ones. Like you could probably not rest your left tackle, maybe that's about it. So.
All right, well, if we want to move on, I can just go to my game and get it out of the way, rip Band-Aid off.
Sure. Right. I don't really think there's too much to say. Either way, like it's.
All right, so moving on to the Baltimore Ravens scoring their second highest scoring total in franchise history. Once again, the number 1 and number 2 games, the most they've scored on against a team ever was both against the Dolphins. So this is the second most, and it was just a plain out ass kicking, butt whooping.
Right. I was gonna say, over the years, this is a rivalry. Like, I know they haven't been around. They've been around for 20 years, but like I can think of a lot of classic Miami Dolphins, Baltimore Ravens games. And this one was like Lamar's perfect game. Last year was the amazing comeback. The year before that, I think, was another comeback by Tua or something in the.
I forget that.
I think there was one on Thursday night that was great. And then there was also I know that it took forever for them to for you to beat them. They beat you a lot in Baltimore. Last year was like first time in like a long time
since the 90s or something.
Right. So so there's that, and then there was and then there was the one where you had your 1-16 season, and they were the only ones you beat.
Yep. So basically, yeah, they go. The big one. The big is in 2007. And we beat them. They're the only team we beat. 2008, they beat us in the playoffs. You know, same rivalry that one of us wins and the next one wins. It's like a back and forth between us. So it's back and forth. Hopefully we get to see, if we see them again in the playoffs, it's back on our side. But still, yeah. So they just basically, Lamar was all that in a bag of chips. The Ravens were all that in a bag of chips. They basically, our defense was Swiss cheese. Nothing really worked. I stopped watching partway through because why? Like, Red Zone was like, oh, here's the next session. I went to watch Ultraman. It's more entertaining. But yeah, like, nothing depresses me like Dolphin blowout losses. But like, I mean, it was close in the beginning and then just got out of control.
I mean, at halftime, wasn't it like almost a tied game or something like that? I forget. Or it was
no.
What was the score at halftime?
28-13.
Oh, my bad. Then it must have been at the end of the first quarter.
You had the lead for 10. It was 10-7.
Right, I was gonna say you had the lead for a while there. It was 13. I thought you had like 13-7 for a little bit there.
No, it was just 10-7.
Well, you had the lead for a while there. That's all I remember. Like at least, so then they just picked it up in the next quarter.
They decided to make up, or they made up for last year where we came back in the fourth quarter and scored a bunch. They just decided they were going to do the same thing, but instead of us scoring all those points, they scored all those points.
And starting in the second quarter.
There was four. No, they scored 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter alone.
How much did they score in the third?
One. That was only 1 touchdown in the third quarter.
Right. See, and at that point, if it was 35-13, like that's a three-score game. That one I can see why keeping your players in. But after, I know we talked about this off mic, but there was a point where they scored like 2 more touchdowns that I think Tua needed to come out, Tyreek, and some of your starters on defense. And in hindsight, I know Mike McDaniel hates that he didn't think about it, but
basically I think he was thinking about it, but a lot of the players still wanted to play.
I get that and I respect that, but he's the head coach. Bradley Chubb tore his ACL. It's a huge mistake. They have to remember it's a war of attrition, and there was no, like, I don't think there was a miracle to come back.
I mean, of all teams like I follow, I know Mike Daniel and stuff knows it's a war of attrition. We literally rested players and stuff. It was just it sucks about Bradley Chubb, and yes, they should have taken him out. They shouldn't have been playing. They shouldn't have been playing the starters at the end of the game. But
yeah, and like I know I mentioned it earlier. This was the worst coaching mistake, in my opinion, for the league. You lose somebody like Bradley Chubb after losing. Like if you guys didn't lose Jalen Phillips, that would have been one thing. But like those guys were like studs, and so like Bradley Chubb I think was really improving, like showing.
Yeah, he was really improved. You know what? They didn't talk about him. He was 2 sacks behind Myles Garrett and had more tackles than him.
Well, Myles Garrett fell off.
I know. Myles Garrett did fall off.
I mean, I know he was like real. Like I know some people were talking about him MVP candidate. Defensively he was.
But like defensive player of the year, yeah. Well, Bradley Chubb was on on his level. So
yeah, he was the only. I think he would have been in the conversation at the end of the day.
Well, I mean, it depends. I don't know if Myles Garrett's playing next week, so they might. So not like they're going to give anything to the Dolphins, anyways. But not that we really deserve anything unless Tyreek gets 280 something yards, which he might need.
I was going to say I would think that the NFL Offensive Player of the Year is going to be between Tyreek, Christian McCaffrey, and Brock Purdy. I think it's those three, maybe Dak. So Tua, I think, would be the long shot at this one there. So we'll see, like between those. But if I had to say, I feel like Offensive Player of the Year is more of the non-quarterback MVP. So that's why I'm higher on Tyreek and Christian McCaffrey making it. So
yeah. But there's not many highlights except for Achan getting back to his strong running ways and having over 100 yards without Raheem playing. So that's the only upside.
Yeah.
We lost Bradley Chubb. Xavier Howard got hurt, and Tua got lightly hurt. Xavier's not going to play, but Tua's fine, and Bradley Chubb's out. So
very concerning because of Eli Apple.
Right, but man, if Eli Apple can pick off Josh Allen, that would be something else. But yeah, so moving forward to next week, we play for the AFC East against the Bills, and I don't know what to expect out of both teams because we're both weird.
We'll talk more about the Bills later. So,
but just so Dolphins really can. It was just that I mentioned earlier about like there was only like 4 teams we can play, and I guess maybe we'll do something about the playoffs or something.
We'll talk about that later. That's not important because why even worry about guessing when you can win the game and hope the other ones win and hope the other ones win so that knock Bills out of the playoffs.
Right. Well, we're gonna know the Bills are gonna know if they're in or out, what they're fighting for since we're the last game playing.
Yeah, that's why they're playing Saturday. So right? Those teams really.
Well, I mean, but we're the final game of the week, so.
But they're going to know pretty early because I think most of those teams play. 3 of those teams that they're going to be figuring out are going to be on Saturday and then Sunday morning, so they're going to know while they're warming up, getting ready, and we'll see what happens there. So, we'll move on to the next next game, which we don't.
Mhm.
Something else I thought. No, I'll bring it. It's like I know we can talk more about the Bills and the playoffs and stuff, but it's just really that like they're obviously they're gonna know, but it's like what else? How much like more time are they gonna need? No, like how much like it's definitely like an impactful thing. Like if
I
they've
don't
got
think
like a
it's
one,
going. I
if they
don't
got
think
the
it's
one
going to.
shot, it's gonna.
I don't think it's going to affect the Bills going into like they're going to go into it wanting to win anyways. But I mean, granted, it might add extra pressure if it's win or out.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking more. It's like if winning is the only way to get into it, it's like they're gonna play a little more desperate. How does that affect them on the field? So
Mm-hmm.
that was what I was thinking about. All right. Speaking of a team that's gonna play on Saturday, and they definitely have to play for as well. Because this is kind of I want to say this is a semi-win and you're in thing. It's definitely gonna depend on the Dolphins and Bills game as well as the Jaguars and Titans game. But the Texans won. I don't think there's a whole lot to talk about in this game. CJ Stroud return makes a whole difference in the world. He is starting quarterback. He is great. Best Ohio State quarterback ever in the NFL. I don't know what his color. I don't know if he's the best at Ohio State, but he's definitely the best that came from Ohio State. At least that played there and finished their career there. Because I know Joe Burrow also played there for I think one season, but I know he finished. I know CJ Stroud finished at Ohio State, and yeah, man is fantastic. 26-3. The defense played fantastic. Coaching. It's for me. It's between D'Amico Ryans and Kevin Stefanski for coach year. I feel like I think there could be a mutual parting of ways with I'm blanking on his name, the head coach of the Titans.
Vrabel?
Yes, Mike Vrabel.
I don't know. I mean, that feels a little desperate. I mean, I feel they just need a better offensive coordinator because their defense, when they play hot, they play hot. Like they just I think Will Levis starting and getting him more weapons, I think will be fine. You need to get rid of some of your aging weapons and stuff, and I think with more time and growth they will be better, but I just don't know.
Well, we'll see how they draft and we'll see what they do in the offseason.
Right. I guess I won't be surprised. I won't be surprised because I'm not sure about the ownership in Tennessee. So, but I don't think it would be. I don't think it's the right decision. But
we shall. Well, we shall see. I should say he might want to get out of there. Depends on if what they're gonna do as far as a rebuild and stuff like that.
I mean, if he wants to get out of there, then that's fine.
When I say mutually, it just means like they agree they want to go in a different direction, and we'll see. Maybe I don't think there'll be a trade, but who knows? We'll see what happens. Like I said, Texans great. They make the playoffs. Look out for them with CJ Stroud. I mean, not like he wasn't in the college playoffs last season too, right? So and he had a nail biter with Georgia where they missed a kick and Georgia won. So all right. There were a lot of games, and I don't want to get into too many of them.
You can just speed through some of the ones that don't really make
Saints and Buccaneers. Yeah, that brings the Saints up to 8-8, and the Buccaneers down to 8-8. Either of them can win. I definitely think that the Bucs have the best chance. They play Panthers. I think it's in at Carolina, but I don't think it makes a difference because they're playing Carolina.
Well, either Carolina is going to get their third win and play spoiler, and whoever wins the other game goes, or the NFC South has a team with a winning record going to the playoffs.
What happens if they have two teams? Saints win and the Packers lose, and
we're going back. We're going back to the podcast we posted, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, where we said there will be two NFC South teams in the playoffs, and we're sharing the hell out of it.
Sounds good. But yeah, the Bucs didn't come alive until like the fourth quarter at the end. They definitely gave it a try, but good job on the Saints. They just were clicking and stayed clicking.
When the Saints defense wants to play, the Saints defense is one of the best defenses in the league.
Yeah. Don't know what the coaching situation will look like. We'll see what happens on Black Monday. Not gonna make any predictions because we can just wait and see what happens, and we'll do a podcast for that maybe like Wednesday of that week.
They really just need to. I don't know who's getting fired. It might be like whoever loses out. Like I could see Dennis Allen or something because there's going to be a lot of coaching models out there that a lot of them sound better than the coaches of the NFL.
We'll see what happens.
Even if Todd Bowles wins, they don't win a playoff game.
That one I don't know about. We'll see. I mean, he won 2 division championships with that. It's like it's hard to fire somebody. Like maybe they need to improve a little. They've got a lot of dead cap, salary cap hell, and but I think we'll wait and see.
Yeah, salary cap hell. They're doing good, and like I said, I think they can get it. Whoever they play at the NFC, I feel they'll beat. Especially if the Eagles are out there.
We shall see. Now I don't know. Falcons can do it if they win, but I was going to mention them. That's the next team. Falcons lost 17-37. The Bears mollywopped them. Like that's what it felt like. They were just scoring comparing like Justin Fields getting to DJ Moore. Trust me, I don't know what the answer is. If the answer is Justin Fields, because they've got the number one pick now. So
if you're keeping Eberflus, if you keep that, I honestly keep that deal. Look at how much he progressed under Eberflus again. Like if he can get this evolution and you get him like Marvin Harrison Jr. or you get him another, you either get him another weapon or get him protecting or you can
well, we've talked about it for weeks. They have some good defensive pieces. They re-sign them. I know they got Montez Sweat, Eddie Jackson,
and I think Tyreek Stevenson did well this game with one of the three guys that got interceptions. He had 2 interceptions this game. So.
Right, so at least they have. I feel like they've got some. It's not gonna be like Bears of the old, but they've still got a pretty decent defense right now. I feel like. So.
Yeah, so they probably go for more of the offensive weapon with draft pick.
Right, because that's the thing. It's like a good defense will help win championships, but you need a solid offense to also help make it your way there. Because it just reminds me of the Broncos last season. Literally, like I think the top defense, or at least the top 3 defense last season, but with Daniel Hackett and Russell Wilson, there wasn't any consistency on offense to get to be a win, to have that be a winning formula.
Right, a great defense and a good offense can get you through the playoffs, but there's so many teams that have great defenses and bad offenses don't get you places like the Jets. But the Browns now have a good offense with Joe Flacco and a great defense.
Mm-hmm. Well, they had I mean that was the thing. They had at least a decent one with even in that QB carousel and the injuries and stuff like Nick Chubb. But I mean, I'm just imagining what they could have been if Nick Chubb didn't get injured.
Right, a strong run game, a great defense, and your quarterback just needs just make good decisions, and you're solid.
Right. And I know we were talking a lot off mic and about it as well as just things in general on here about like what should the Bears do just over the few weeks and stuff. And I'm just like
honestly trade the pick for like 3 first rounders in the next few drafts and then go from there. Honestly, you might end up with 2 top 10 draft picks, even if it's 1 in 10. So like moving back, you're still going to get 2. You still have the opportunity to get 2 great picks. So
right, I mean there is a choice of building up the offense for Justin Fields, but there's also the choice. You already got the number 10 pick. You know what you could do? You could actually just do what Houston did last year. Go move, basically say, okay, we're gonna take Caleb Williams and we want Marvin Harrison Jr. and move up to whatever spot somebody doesn't need a quarterback that's more likely to take him and go take him there.
Right.
Because I just can't imagine any of at least the current, except for the Bears taking him. But if the Bears want a quarterback, Washington's got the second one, they want a quarterback. The only one they have to really jump is Arizona.
I feel that with keeping Eberflus, that I feel that Justin Fields has developed more and more each year since with Eberflus coming in last year, and they've definitely developed better than last season. I feel like the growth will keep going. I feel like if you get Caleb Williams, you're starting over from 0, and that I don't know how much Caleb's just going to be NFL ready,
but he'll have DJ Moore, maybe some kind of another wide receiver or something.
I mean, I agree with you, but I feel like Justin Fields with more weapons, like getting Marvin Harrison Jr. and even if you did the number 10 and got him a second weapon, the top two wide receivers or an offensive lineman, if you give I feel that if you'll be better off giving Justin Fields more weapons than taking Caleb Williams and getting him 1 extra piece too.
But what if they were to say, well, Justin Fields is going to cost us more money soon. Let's trade him away, get a second round pick. That could be another wide receiver, and also sign T. Higgins. You get T. Higgins, DJ Moore, and a new wide receiver for Caleb Williams, who's starting, like you said, back at 0 or year 1 with a lower draft hit on their, that.
Now, granted, yes, from a financial standpoint, that does make makes sense as long as you're not paying up out the wazoo for T. Higgins.
Well, but even if you are, as long as you're
not hurting yourself.
Yeah, too much. Because I mean, you need to sign some defensive stuff too. But if you can get him at a good price without breaking too much at the bank, or at least I don't know what their capital is, their draft
salary cap looks
salary
like.
cap, yeah.
No, it's fair. I mean, the difference is that I know Caleb is always has the potential. Is just I don't know if he's the best quarterback in this draft with how they are looking, especially with Penix throwing for 400 yards last one and matching like Patrick Mahomes' stat, matching something only Patrick Mahomes has done in college football.
I mean, there is the whole like Joe Burrow winning, coming up, winning a championship, and that national championship. That that's a whole nother conversation that we'll have in the off season. But right now, even if it isn't Caleb Williams, why would you not try a different quarterback? Like, why is it just Caleb Williams? It's like you're literally saying exactly, you're saying, it can be more than a two quarterback conversation.
I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, I mean, to be fair, their best move could be trade down. If Caleb is what everyone's hyping up and everyone else really wants him, you could trade down, get like 3 number 1 draft picks, and still, especially if it's just like down a few notches to like say the Patriots or something to jump over the Commanders or something. Still get Marvin Harrison Jr. and maybe even get one of those quarterback and get like a Bo Nix or a Michael Penix or get one of those two or Jaden Daniels. I don't know where they're going to end up in the draft, but you can get one of those 3 who might be on the same level and still be better off.
It's one of the biggest talented drafts that we've had. Honestly, it's probably the biggest it's the biggest since 2020. And it might even be bigger than 2020. Obviously quarterbacks have to work out, but yeah, it feels like 2020 is like the biggest one in recent memory. So yeah, if it turns out you get a few, more than right now, everybody's working out from the 2020 draft and has a winning record, right? Because you got Joe Burrow, been to a Super Bowl. Justin Herbert's actually the one that probably doesn't have a winning record right now because of the injuries and the way that Chargers team is.
Well, I blame I blame a lot of that on Brandon Staley, which
and you can probably blame it on ownership too. But right now, he's the only one that's actually not with a winning record because Tua has a winning record. Jalen Hurts has a winning record. Jordan Love has his is still too early, but I think he's about the same as Justin Herbert. But I mean, if he wins this weekend, he makes a trip to the playoffs in what is essentially his first season. So we'll see how this class really comes out. And I forget if there's another quarterback that I'm forgetting that maybe came later. But
did you mention Jalen Hurts?
I did.
Okay.
I know after him.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know if there's anyone else from the 2020 draft. So it looks like from the 2020 draft, like also Tyler Huntley.
I mean, yeah, he went undrafted, right?
Yeah, he went undrafted, and
I mean, still he got a Pro Bowl selection.
When are we going to talk about him going to another team? Because I think if he's anything pretty close, he could do well with the Falcons.
Probably be like the next like Tyrod Taylor and maybe like Jacoby Brissett, which is either low end starter or really solid backup. And it depends on honestly the coaching because Jacoby Brissett probably could have been starter this year, but with the right coaching.
Right. I feel Tyler Huntley if he plays this week, I'm sure this might be a showcase game. Try to be a showcase game for him because I know he lost the playoff game, but we'll see what happens.
He lost a really close playoff game, so we'll see. Like you said, we'll see what happens. But here's the thing: like still the Ravens, we'll see how they do in the playoffs. Even though because one playoff game in the last in Lamar Jackson since Lamar Jackson has been drafted. Anything else on the Bears?
Not really. I think we're good. I was just going to say we can move on from the Bears. This was just about the Ravens. I feel like they might want to hope that they face Jacksonville again if they have to face anyone, because I think any of the wild card teams might end up being able to, especially the Browns. I think the Browns are the last ones. I don't think they want to face any of their AFC North rivals. They're the last ones they want to face.
You're not wrong, because if the Steelers sneak in here, I don't think they want to face Cleveland or Pittsburgh because they know them too too well.
Right? I mean, for storytelling, we all want the Browns to face them.
Yeah, we do. Also, I wouldn't mind the Texans. That could still be a fun match.
Right?
Okay, so next game we'll talk about is we got two real with some of these games, but first it was Patriots Bills, which the Patriots started off really great with what Jalen Reagor making I forget
98-yard touchdown.
Yeah, on the kickoff, and they were up 7-0, and then it all really fell apart because like I think Bailey Zappi or he turned it over. He had like 2 interceptions, I think. I forget. They had 4 total turnovers in that first half, or was it first quarter?
Yeah, Bailey Zappi had 3 interceptions overall.
Yeah, so at least 4. I think they were all in the first half. I mean, I don't know if you can find out when they were, but I don't know how many they had total in the game. But the fact that this speaks volume for the fact that the Patriots were still in it. They lost 21-27. But why are we but the Bills, I think Josh Allen went 15 for 31. He had no passing touchdowns. He had 2 rushing touchdowns. And I think an interception or a fumble.
He had 1 interception, yeah.
Okay. So I'm just like, don't get me wrong, like rushing touchdown, in my book they count the same value as I don't know if they count the same value as a passing touchdown depending on where they're from.
Right.
Because like I know the quarterback is really, the position has really changed, but it's also like basically throwing it's like essentially I think about it as like it's like those ones where Aaron Rodgers would just kind of like flip the ball to the.
Right.
It still counts as a passing touchdown, but it's like is it really a passing touchdown or is it just kind of like a rushing touchdown? It's like I guess it really matters like where I hear the yard. It's more impressive when I hear like how many rush yards, how many passing yards, like how big was the play. It's like we talked about like Jalen Reagor making 98-yard kickoff return touchdown. Like that's impressive. 98 yards. Same thing with CD Lamb in the Cowboy game. He made a 92-yard touchdown. And I mean, he just, but it's like, I don't know I don't know why I went off on this, like why I was thinking about like, why is one better than the other, like passing versus rushing, when it really is just,
touchdowns are touchdowns.
I really think it's just the way that when I hear the media, they're saying like total touchdowns, you know what I mean?
Right. Well, it comes down to, running touchdowns don't help your passing, you don't help your quarterback rating. That's not factored into it. So like Josh Allen's quarterback rating this week is they scored more points, but like this is I guess this is going into the fact that stats really don't matter, or in a sense, because of how poor Josh Allen did. They scored 27 points, but Tua's quarterback rating and stats are better than his, and only scored 19 points.
Yeah, so that's a really weird, and we will get into it more with the Denver Broncos later.
Yeah, you don't get the whole story. Stats are just numbers, and we'll definitely get into it with the Broncos game because that's who I can have examples for, and we both can talk about. So we will just move on. We will just cut this short. We will cut this talk short right now.
I guess my point is like I'm back and forth in my head about like how do like touchdowns obviously matter. I think that obviously that's the most important stat. I think number wise is the total touchdown. So because that and total takeaway, give away, like you don't want to give away the ball either. So I don't really know what the answer is when I'm thinking about this. Like what's how they work out, because it's like again with the Broncos, the yards. There's a whole like there's all stats are not created equally because there are so many stats that can it's like painting a picture. Like that's paint a picture, but not everybody's picture is going to be the same.
No, stats paint a picture that stats are painting a picture AI does versus actually watching the game and seeing how they play. You can't like quantify how well like a quarterback's play is with just stats. That's like actually hand painting a picture. Like that's like, you know, how it's done is different than what these numbers are generating. Because these stats, so these stats tell me that Tua played better than Josh Allen, but he didn't win and we got blown out. So these stats are telling me aren't telling me the correct thing.
Well, we might as well just get into it now with the Broncos and stuff.
With Russell Wilson.
Like, you know, I'll save more of it for later, but yeah, Russell Wilson had some good stats, but there's a lot that's staying away from how many turnovers did the defense give them, and that they had really close. Like, that's part of why he had short yards and a lot of touchdowns. You know, how many times did he have to like deep chuck it because to make up some of those yards? You know, to Cortland Sutton. How many? You know, it's like he's get rid of some of those long bombs to Cortland Sutton, and I think that's it's like we're cooking, and yes, I know I'm going into cooking with stuff with Russ, but that's where you like those are like those secret ingredients or something that you're just like adding for extra flavor. Like when you actually kind of get rid of those really take away all his touchdowns from Cortland Sutton, and I believe that's 10 less.
Well, what it comes down to is,
and then the yards as well. So
what it comes down to with Russ is that obviously the media doesn't watch these games. No one can watch all these. No one can watch all these games, especially if you're a media reporter who is on more than just the NFL. But still, they don't watch all these games. They just look at the stats, and when you look at the stats, Russ looks like a fantastic quarterback, and no one understands why the Broncos are doing this. You watch the Broncos games, you understand why the Broncos are doing this. Russ does not look great. His stats are great, but he just doesn't look good. Like they are like the play calling doesn't look good, and Jerry Jeudy missing doesn't help either.
His execution of the play
call, the execution does not look good. They look like they said Russ can't put together like 3 good drives in a row.
Yeah. Now, like let's get back on the point about the Bills. Is that why do I keep hearing people say like, oh, the Bills are like a top 5 team, top 10 team? What are we fearing them about like right now?
They have a boner for Josh Allen.
I love Josh Allen, but like there's only it's the same thing with Patrick Mahomes. Like he can't not one one person can get the whole job done. They are getting the ball out to other people than Stephon Diggs, but where are they gonna like? I'm just is their defense gonna be good to keep up with Miami? Can Miami Miami can get back into they're not the same team that played in like week 4.
No, we're both not the same team, and I mean that they were the first team that sucker punched us, but now we're coming off a loss from one of the best teams, and we want to play better, and it's rival. Everything's on the table. This better be like a matchup, a worthy matchup for both teams, or it's going to be a shit show.
But like I said, I'm not sure who I'm worried about. I know obviously you're worried about your opponent and you're scheming up and figuring them out, but like
I don't trust the Bills if they win. I don't trust them against the 7th seed, whoever it is.
Well, I mean, we'll see. But my point was, what are the Bills like? What are the Bills like? I know the answer is Josh Allen, and that's all it feels like, because I'm trying to see what else. And I'm not saying that Miami actually has a lot of pieces to them when you watch them, and their biggest problem coming up this week is that they're just hurt.
Right. I know what the Bills are, and this is not a knock at the Bills, but this is what they are. They are the Ravens light. They have a strong running quarterback. They have a run game. They have a run game, and they have a strong defense, and they have solid receivers, but not to the level the Ravens are doing it at.
Well, I was going to say they're really just between the Chiefs and the Ravens, because I mean, if they had a defense like Chiefs did, I mean, I think that's like they've got weapons, as long as they somebody wants to do stuff, and if they actually work the run game, that's kind of what they're kind of winning with. But either way, the fact that they just couldn't pull more than 27 points after having 4 takeaways,
right? That is the sus part. Like that that, I mean, yes, their defense did keep them like to win the game, but that you could have lost the game, like that you were only 6 points ahead of them. Now that was worrisome.
Anything else to really add?
I think I'm good.
All right, with the Bills and the Patriots, we're gonna go to another.
Is there any better way to say that? No.
I mean, it was more exciting, the Cardinals and the Eagles, but it's on their defense.
Right.
I mean, was it a close game? Eagles 31, Cardinals 35. Yeah, but when you think about how bad that Eagles defense played, and why it was even so close is that they had a pick six. So if you get rid of that 7 points, it could have been 35-24, or 38-24 if they at least got a field goal, or it could have been 41-20, or 42-24. So who knows? Like that pick six really helped the Eagles defense, but that was literally, I think, all the Eagles defense really mustered, because it was the first half.
It was the first half, because the Eagles defense, it was a tale of two halves. So you're telling me the Eagles lose 35-31, where at the half it was 21-6.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. I was like 21-6, and I mean that was because of that was part of the pick six. But like, so I'm like, Julio Jones had a game, which is weird to say in 2023 when he's been to a Super Bowl and he was winning, and he was one of the most explosive wide receivers for years. Where's AJ Brown? And where that's my biggest question is where is first AJ Brown and where is second DeAndre Swift? I don't feel like they're running the ball great. I don't feel like they're getting AJ Brown, and I don't know where. I don't know what's up with the chemistry. Like, is there some frustration? Is Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown not on the same page?
Right? Or is the offensive coordinator just having issues? But both. It's funny that we say this, but DeAndre Swift and AJ Brown both were leading in their categories, but they don't have the yards. Like DeAndre Swift only had 61 yards, and AJ Brown had 53 yards, which being the leading receiver at 53 yards is a problem. We say Julio Jones had a game. He had plays because he had 34 yards, and he had two receptions, but they were both touchdowns, and they were both like over double-digit yards for those touchdowns. So right,
but like that's still a game for him in 2023. And it's just like, where's this? But like, even if AJ Brown just getting 53, this was the man who made 5 straight games with 125 yards, like doing this record-breaking shit between weeks like 2 through 7 or something, maybe 1 through 6. I forget. It was the first half of the season before the bye. After week 10, like after that, they barely beat the Bills. They have not been the same.
AJ Brown was on the same level of Tyreek, saying he can be the MVP.
Yes,
and he died off, and like Jalen and what was it? And Jalen Carter was like saying as being like the defensive rookie of the year, and like they were both like the Eagles aren't the same anymore.
Right? I mean, I feel like Will Anderson Jr. has been better in the overall the whole season, right? I mean, I don't know the stats, but I know when I've turned on the Houston games and stuff, like I keep hearing about I've seen the stats on Will Anderson Jr. So
I think it's going to be like a Houston sweep for
like the Jets did.
Yeah, for offensive and defensive, and probably coach of the year, but we'll see on that.
That one's gonna very much should be, because
if they win Saturday, probably.
I mean, it will help if Jacksonville loses and they win the division.
Yeah, if that happens, then even more. But still, if they get the playoff spot, I think that might like seal it. But I mean, Jalen. Ironically, how we were talking about statistics, Jalen Hurts didn't play well, but they lost, and he didn't even get sacked.
No sacks. Did he throw an interception?
He threw one interception.
He had 3 touchdowns, but he only had 180 some odd yards.
167.
Oh boy.
And he only missed 5 passes.
And again, do you know who this sounds like? That would be that almost sounds like a Russell Wilson game. So like, it's like in some ways is that good or bad? And when I think about it, I'm like, it's okay, but the rest of the team just doesn't feel like it's really flowing. And then when I said you get rid of that one touchdown from the pick six and the extra point, you're down to 24. So that's the 3 touchdowns and a field goal. And then Kyler Murray's just going off. What is his stats? I know he had the interception.
Yeah, 232 yards, only missed 6 passes, and 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 1 sack.
So honestly, they had the same game, pretty much the same game when you really look at that stuff. What was James Conner? What was the run game?
That is the key. Well, the key was that
except for that Kyler had like an extra 60 yards.
Yeah, Kyler threw for 232 yards, and James Conner ran for 128 yards, but they had a total of 221 yards rushing by everyone.
How many did I'm guessing? Oh, what was his name? Starts with like a D or an E.
Oh, he didn't play.
Oh, he didn't play. Who was the backup running back?
Michael Carter.
Oh, okay. See, Michael Carter. That was a surprise.
Yeah, I forgot. I didn't realize he ended up on the Cardinals, but
right. And Kyler had some rush yards too.
Yeah. So yeah, Michael Carter ran for 61 yards, Kyler for 24, and Rondale Moore ran for 8. So I think he might have had 2 jet sweeps or something or 2 end rounds.
Realistically, just thinking about it was really James Conner and Michael Carter, which is a good tandem when you think about their performances on over the past few years. So like Michael Carter, I mean, with the news of Dalvin Cook getting released and stuff, they should have kept Michael Carter, the Jet. But there's another mistake with the Jets that we'll get into later. But like, it's the run game. The run game is really important. I know that as Broncos have been trying to, it's not the best run game. It's a decent run game. There's definitely a lot better. There's a lot worse. But like, that really feels like the difference between the two teams right there. So the run game versus the run defense, or the run game, the run offense versus the run defense, and one sucks, and that was the Eagles. But honestly, great job, Cardinals coming back and not just they won on the road. Somehow they have stayed competitive. I'm really excited to see where they can go in the next year or so with if they stay where they are and nobody like trades up for Marvin Harrison Jr. I feel like this is the spot for Marvin Harrison Jr. Like honestly, right now, like I think this will probably be his future team. If I had, I feel like they're invested in Kyler, so.
Well, if it goes, since they're I think 4th in draft position or something like that, because I think they're after the Patriots and Commanders and Bears. So I feel that, as we talked about, if the Bears trade down, I feel the Bears are only going to trade down with probably the Patriots. Like, I feel like the Patriots might be the ones that move up or something, or whoever really wants this, or the Falcons might even move up if they don't make the playoffs. But whoever's going to move up there, and it's probably going to be quarterback. It'll probably be quarterback the first 3 ones without, I'm sure Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, or Michael Penix might move up, be worthy enough to be the 3rd quarterback taken. And that you're absolutely right that it will fall here unless the Bears keep Justin Fields.
That is literally the only caveat, is that was where I was gonna go with that. So I'm like, because the first 3 are just getting quarterback. Like, Washington's gonna draft somebody with if everything stays the same, they're even if it doesn't, if Washington, personally, I'm just thinking Washington, you don't want to, you really don't want to win, even if Ron Rivera is safe. You're just or not, it's you don't want to win. New England might win actually because they could beat the Jets. Might be a pride thing. Dallas is definitely going to want to win, so they're going to do everything to with Washington. So I feel like that's kind of there, and Chicago's already locked in at 1.
I feel that Bill Belichick will pull a Lovie Smith or something, and I really wanted him to pull the screw you to the Patriots both these weeks winning them. He came so close, but I feel like he's going to pull that out this week with beating the Jets and worsening their position.
But look at how well a Lovie Smith plan worked. It worked perfect. They should be thanking Lovie Smith.
They should,
because he took away the choice. And
right, moving on. But I don't know if Washington. I feel Washington might do do like I don't know, the new owner might want to try and do like a more of a get his things in place if he wants to.
Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you this. I really hate bringing it back to the Broncos, but it's the same thing. Everybody's like, oh, they're gonna fire Sean Payton. It's like, no. First of all, they traded for him. Second of all, more importantly, the Walton Penner ownership. Like, I think Penner's in charge. This is his first coach. He's going to have a lot of leeway with it. He's going to, he wants to build a winning organization. It's going to take some work. He's not going to be a one and done because this hasn't been a terrible year. This isn't that Frank Reich year, And so I totally understand Washington wanting to go out there, look for a new head coach, somebody that might be a little big, or even just promoting Eric Bieniemy if they, but they might want to go get somebody who's second chance. Could be Jim Harbaugh.
I know Belichick was an option, but I don't know if he wants to go to the East, the NFC East.
Right, I see. He'd probably go to the NFC South, and if none of them, like he might take a flash at like the offensive coordinators from Detroit or Houston. So
right, those two both seem like they're going to be good going to be head coaching candidates. Same thing with the Ravens defensive coordinator.
And he might be a choice too. I think they might go a little bit more offensive on that one.
They might try to pick someone that might try to salvage Sam Howell, because he did have some good flashes to him.
We'll see, but we're
not on the Commanders.
We're not on the Commanders. Like, this was more about the Cardinals, and again, I think there's a lot more about getting to Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Cardinals. I feel like that could be the right pick. I think that's going to be like the right thing. The only way that it because also they have a lot of talent on that offense, so you really need the right coach to get all that talent to shine. So there's really, like, Marvin Harrison Jr. to Washington just wouldn't make a lot of sense. But we'll see what I think they're stuck. Not stuck, but I think they're in with Kyler Murray, and even though that was the last GM and coach stuff, but again, not to bring up the Broncos, but who knows, because of the Russell Wilson situation, how that really will play out. So Cardinals might just be like, well, if somebody wants to trade, and yes, could see them trading Kyler for Russ if that's a situation. If they both have paid big bills and they just both teams want a fresh start.
It's happened before, so
it wouldn't be the last time. And I mean,
Kyler's an upgrade.
I think so, but that's a whole nother conversation. Not really much else to say with the Cardinals. Awesome job, I'm excited to see where they go next season.
They're one of the scrappiest teams. They were one of the scrappiest teams this year, and I think they might have won more games if Kyler was healthy, honestly.
Yes, actually, I think they were the scrappiest team. They were very few games do I remember them getting blown out. So Jonathan Gannon, there are two things. One, I know there were a lot of people who were like, I don't know if he's going to be around for a year, or how good of a head coach is he going to be. He has worked his butt off to keep the team competitive. So, kudos, great job, Jonathan Gannon. And two, since we're on it, this was like his revenge game, and I'm glad he won his revenge game, because all of Philadelphia wanted him out as defensive coordinator. And let me ask you, Eagles fans, do you want him back? Do you want him back? Because the answer is yes. Even if you say no, yell no, you're lying to yourself, because you wish you had him right now.
To be fair, I think they still wish they had Andy Reid, but they were dumb enough to chase him out.
Well, yeah. Well, but look, they also got rid of Doug Peterson too. So.
Philly is a toxic place. Philly is a toxic place. Like, I mean, the fandom wise and what they do with like their players and stuff. Like, I mean, I know some other places aren't exactly better, but it just feels like Philly is toxic in some points like that.
We could literally talk about the fans of every place, and I mean, a lot of it could be the same, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of there's something about Philly that much is true. So let's move on to the next game, and not a whole lot to say here. CJ Beathard played great in Trevor Lawrence's absence. Obviously, we're talking about the Jags and Panthers. The Jaguars shut out the Panthers 26-0. Zip zero nada.
The Panthers sure wish they could play Joe Barry's defense more.
Yeah, for 31 week and then 33 and nothing the next. Anyways, like I said, CJ Beathard to Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram, great, tight end, security blanket. Like, he's just like, he was filling in, and they got the win, which was very much needed. I don't know if he's gonna start. I really think it depends on how hurt Trevor Trevor Lawrence is, but CJ Beathard might give him the best chance right now. Because 100% CJ Beathard might be better than a 70% Trevor Lawrence, and like he just used he used his weapons good. They were running the ball, I believe. They got their running backs involved.
Yeah, ETN had over 100.
That's something that they needed, and they need that going into this week too. Is Agnew a wide receiver or a running back?
Agnew is a receiver. Unfortunately, he got hurt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's out for the rest of the season.
Damn, that's
yeah.
I missed that. Like, obviously there are a lot of injuries this
Yeah.
week, so I mean, one isn't there, but
fractured suffered a lower leg fracture.
Ow.
Which hurts with like he kind of was filling Christian Kirk's void.
But we'll see how they do. Is Christian Kirk out for the rest of the season too?
Yeah, we'll check.
I mean, hopefully he can, make some kind of comeback if they make it to the postseason. But the defense also played well. I know Josh Allen got some sacks. I don't know how many sacks, but
Kirk looks like he might be back for this week.
Ooh, that's good.
That'll make up for losing Agnew.
Right.
Josh Allen, I think he did something really. He did something well this week. 3 sacks for Josh Allen.
See, I knew he got some sacks. I didn't realize he got 3, but I thought he at least got 2. And I'm not saying, and that's great. And I'm not saying like CJ Beathard is going to replace Trevor Lawrence, but as long as he's not turning over the ball and not having to scramble and do everything hurt, it's going to be a big help. And I think it could just help to get Trevor into the postseason. And if the Jags could get right at the right time, that's what matters. Nothing really to say about the Panthers. We'll see how they do next during the offseason. I was just gonna say one big thing as far as the only big thing is, like, I know Panthers fans, you want David Tepper out. I heard what he did about he threw a drink at a fan in Jacksonville because the game was in Jacksonville. I'm just like, that's so rude and and petty to a fan. I mean, like, it's not really great to anybody, but like, you're the owner of the other team. You're an owner of an NFL team. You are rich. If and everything that has happened has been your fault, sir. Like, if I had your money, if a lot of people had your money, but honestly, you're just a big baby at this point because there's so much to throw a drink at somebody, like come on.
They fined him $300,000, which they did the math. Since he's worth $20.6 billion, finding him $300,000 is the equivalent of finding someone who's worth $1 million $14.50.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's laughable of a punishment.
Pretty much. That's like I mean that's an hour of work for your average person, which I mean I would like $300,000
for an hour of work. I'd
right?
take that.
But if it's like but I'd also like $1 million. So I wouldn't mind giving up $14.50 for $1 million. I also wouldn't mind giving up $300,000 for $26 billion. So yeah, it's a pretty. It's like my point being is like people work for $14.50 in an hour. So like that's a lot. That's an hour of pay for some people. When you think about a millionaire, like that's probably that's not even they're not spending that on a meal. Like that's chump change. That's it's so rude. It's like I know people who $14.50, like that's an extra meal. That's probably a couple meals to a lot of people. So there's a lot people can do with that money. So it's like and probably the fan that paid the fan that was there probably didn't pay $14.50 for that seat either. So I'm sure Jacksonville is going to take care of him, and the fans gonna probably have season tickets like next season too. But just so rude and so rude. And like I said, if David Tepper was here and wanted me to say this to his face, yeah, I would. I'd call him a baby. That's what you're acting like. Especially since it's probably worse than a baby, because a baby is crying because they really don't know. That's their instinct because they're a baby. You chose all of this. You made these decisions. So honestly, I feel I have offended babies because your actions are more deplorable. And I don't know what to call you, but maybe insecure man child. child, but insecure might be like the best, because I mean I even feel that I don't know, I don't know if that's offensive to a child too, because I mean at least well raised children aren't throwing a drink at somebody like that, but maybe that is the perfect word, insecure man child. I don't know, but this was just very bad.
So two things. One, if our podcast disappears, after this segment, you know why, David, because David Hemper is an insecure magically one of the few people that actually listens to our podcast. So if you know what happened, if we're scrubbed off the internet, you know why. To agree on all the points, but I was going to say about what the Panthers should do next season besides magically fire David Teffer.
The only way that happens is it's not called fire. It is him selling the team.
Yes,
he should sell the team. They should force him to sell the team, because he doesn't give a good look to the ownership, honestly.
Which they could kick him out if they don't like his behavior. But the other thing I was saying about the Panthers in general, for next season, that I was going to say before you, but wanted to let you go on this whole important point. They just need to get more weapons for Bryce Young.
Well, I mean that's a whole nother topic we didn't even get into.
Right, we were talking about things for the Panthers and things about Panthers. So, but yeah, I think you just need to get someone who can get the best out of Bryce Young, or they're going to just draft someone else and Bryce Young ends up in Josh Rosen purgatory.
Who are they going to draft? What draft capital?
Whoever ends up in the second round.
I mean, maybe they can trade up for a first rounder with the second overall, the top pick of the second round.
I mean, maybe they trade Brian Burns or some of their defensive pieces, but they might need to pay.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they. I mean, Adam Thielen's not a bad wide receiver. They just need a better coach that can get stuff out of the player.
Basically,
because I would bet you that some of these guys can actually catch, and the Chiefs wouldn't mind having them.
If you throw some of these receivers on both the Chiefs and the Broncos, besides Jerry Jeudy, because I think we mentioned off stuff like Laviska Shenault or stuff like that. These guys, and Adam Thielen would have been a better number two would have been a number two guy for both your team.
Well,
both those teams.
Yeah, well, without getting too much into it, but I mean, the Panthers could do Thielen a favor and just do what they just did with Dalvin Cook, release him so he can try and go after a ring. The same thing with DeAndre Hopkins. All right, so I think we're good with the Panthers and the Jaguars.
Yep.
I know we could probably talk draft picks and all that other stuff, but I think we can wait till next week and then after the regular season too. Move on to the Raiders and the Colts. I think there weren't a whole lot of highlights in this one. At least I know Jonathan Taylor came back. He made I forget if he came back last week, but I just know he had a good run for a touchdown to start off the game. The Colts I think had a pretty dominant lead for a while there. I know the Raiders were kind of trying to come back in the end there. The Colts needed this so that they could stay in playoff contention, so we'll see what happens. It's a big game with them in Houston. I think it's in Indianapolis, right?
Let me check. Yes, it's in Indy.
Okay. My next thought was Devontae Adams had a couple good touchdown passes. I think he had two. I know he had a really good one in the corner, kind of almost like the Cortland Sutton one. What is the running back name?
Zamir White.
He didn't have as good as a game as he has in the last couple of weeks, but 71 yards. I feel like he's a good he'll be their lead running back next year. Devontae Adams had 126 yards, 2 touchdowns. Aiden O'Connell 30 for 47, 290 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, and they were both to Devontae Adams, so it's I don't think he's the answer. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Raiders draft one of those top quarterbacks, in the first round, but we'll see what happens. I think it's gonna depend on the coach. I do feel like even though that they got even though they lost and they got eliminated and stuff, I do think and Antonio Pierce should be the head coach for see how that goes. I think he's earned it. They played really well and they've been playing for him. They've got a hell of a lot more wins than I expected, even with because I wasn't sure who the interim head coach was going to be, but I wasn't expecting this honestly out of an interim head coach with that roster with and how they were built under Josh McDaniels.
Right? I mean, Aidan O'Connell's done pretty decently for a rookie, like, for a lower round rookie. So, but it does depend on what what the higher ups want to do. Like, are they
right? I mean, there's just so much quarterback talent, so that's going to be the interesting thing,
right?
The Colts, on the other hand, Gardner Minshew played fine. Jonathan Taylor, they played fine. They, is it Andrew Pierce?
Alec
Pierce. I just know like he's been kind of popping up a little bit more throughout the week. So maybe Pierce and Pittman Jr. could be could be good with especially with Anthony Richardson. So
and their rookie Josh Downs did well this week too.
Oh, is Pierce not a?
Pierce was a rookie last year.
Oh, okay. So he's really made a good step this year.
Well, having
big step forward, honestly.
Well, his 58 yards this game was pretty good since it was only his only reception.
Oh wow, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, one reception, 58 yards, average 58, touchdown, longest 58 targets.
Well, that was a good catch, but it wasn't a. I'm not gonna say here like he's had a pretty good season overall. This was not their greatest game, so
no, the Raiders defense
it's good.
Yeah,
it really is good.
It really is, and Alec and Pierce really does get the most out of them.
Right. They didn't give up a sack or no, one sack. My bad. They didn't have an interception, but Adam Butler had a sack on for the Raiders, and that was really the only big defensive thing that I saw that they did. Now we play them, I guess, for second and third place, the Broncos versus Raiders. See what happens. So
it's really it will affect draft positions and it will affect scheduling. That's about it.
I mean, pride. I wouldn't mind. Is the second place schedule harder? Yeah, but do I want a winning record? So and honestly, I guess it depends on if they want pride too, because I think
he's fighting for his job. So
right, that's a big. Well, but that's the thing. It's like if he doesn't, they get a better draft position and easier schedules. Do the Raiders want to win this? It's like
I think the coaches always want to win. I don't think, and the teams do. I don't think that's in their minds. The owners might want differently, but I don't know what the owners tell the coaches though.
Right. Well, but I guess that's a question also for Sean Payton. It's like I mean, obviously, I think especially when you think about that's the big thing. Sean Payton's also looking at the future too. So we'll see what happens with the is a win or is a loss a win? That's one of those things with these games going into it, this season. So
right, you could move closer to the top 10 in draft pick. You might be 11, but
that was my thing. It's like how many of these teams, if they lose, they actually win? And it's draft position for the future of the organization. It's stuff like that. That was exactly my point. So we'll see what happens. I think that's pretty much it. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Max Crosby he got 3 tackles there. The defense, it didn't get as many turnovers. It didn't get as much sacks and stuff. So stoppage. So, but it was a close game nonetheless. So all right. So I think we'll go on to the next game. I guess we'll move on to let's just go jump to the 49ers and the Commanders. Just a real bounce back game for the 49ers. They looked like they had a little rocky start because I think it was 10-10 or something. I think it was tied for a little bit there. It looked like it was tied for a little bit, and then it was just 49ers, straight out after the second quarter,
Yeah.
They picked up a touchdown every quarter afterwards, and then it was just 27-10, and the 49ers defense came to play and looked good. The only bad thing was Christian McCaffrey got hurt. Cal's a little injured, but luckily they won the first
round bye.
Yeah, they won. The Eagles lost, so they get the bye, and so they're gonna pretty much trust everybody this coming week, and then and be ready in 2 weeks. So I think that's good for them. They just needed a bounce back game. I don't really think there's much to really.
No, I think they're, as long as they don't lose any of their important depth pieces in this next game against the Rams, because the Rams are resting people too. They both can't move positions, so it's basically a preseason game,
right? And they both announced it's gonna be Sam Darnold versus Carson Wentz. So.
Yeah, and this doesn't even affect seeding. Doesn't affect seeding. Doesn't affect draft position. This game is doesn't even matter. doesn't it's
If it wasn't for the money that you know, for tickets and
Oh,
fans
yeah.
want, yeah, like they'd probably prefer to just be like, we both aren't playing and we want to rest even the backups. But
right, like if it wasn't because of like monetary issues, like I feel there would be more forfeits in the last. If there's nothing to play for, like we just we just choose not to play.
right, the health, I'd rather not lose any depth either. Like that game could be a forfeit. I feel like the Chiefs would be like, no, we'll take the forfeit, and you know, I mean maybe they, because they're not even playing Mahomes, so there's no sense in the whole chemistry of, you know, you know, unless they start catching balls, Blaine Gabbert or whatever. I think he's the backup there.
Yeah, it is Blaine Gabbert. Does that do we get into the conversation of Patrick Mahomes as a system quarterback?
System, he just
right, the system that's not working for him. Or is it just Matt Nagy is not a good offensive coordinator?
I do not know. I do not know what the answers questions, or really would be what the answers for sure. The questions would be like, what the fuck is going on with this receiving group? But we're talking about a team we haven't even talked about yet. So like, but you know, that's kind of, you know, we'll talk more about the Chiefs in a little bit here. But I was gonna say, Washington, sucked that Jacoby Brissett couldn't start. He was injured. Couldn't make start, because I think that game would have gone a little different. But we'll see what happens this offseason with Washington.
Right? Do they play? Will they play? Spoiler on the Cavs is really what they're playing for, and draft position, and easier schedule, because I don't know between if they magically win, the Giants lose, who ends up the 4th seed in the.
I think it would depend on record.
Yeah, I think they can tie. Yeah, they would tie in record if the Commanders win, but I don't think the Cowboys fans or the Cowboys want that to happen, and I don't imagine that happening. That's about all there's to say. Just hope the 49ers don't lose anything and are healthy.
I don't see them playing George Kittle. If they have, like, defense might be a little different, but I definitely, but I don't see. Puka's probably going to play, because he might want to get that. They might want to get him that rookie record for a few things, and he's a rookie, so a little extra isn't going to hurt.
Yeah.
But Cooper Kupp will definitely be resting. And I can see Kieran Williams also not doing a lot. Maybe he'll just play like a quarter, just to make sure he's still. You want to keep him as fresh as possible for the postseason. So.
Man, Kieran and Puka are going to be high draft picks next year in fantasy football.
Oh, I am. No way am I getting every right receiver I got. I just so everybody knows, I have Puka Nacua, CeeDee Lamb, and AJ Brown. And I love fantasy football. I'm happy I won the championship. Humble brag there. But honestly, it's just fun to have something else to like really pay attention to during the football season. So I'm gonna miss that this week, the next few weeks. Not having, but it's one thing that I love during football season. Let us know if you'd like to hear more about us in fantasy football. Maybe we do some fantasy football
and then
podcast or something like that too.
Yeah, prepare for next year. And stuff. Yeah, we can share our insane methods with everyone.
Is there a method to our madness?
No, there's a madness to our method.
What's the method though?
Madness. Madness. That is there is our method is madness. That is what it is.
Okay. I don't know what I'm doing half the time. Ask my quarterback situation.
It's not there's a madness to our method. Our method is madness. I want that as a bumper sticker or something.
You make it a shirt. Copyright it before we put this up.
Not with these legal legal processes.
Just make it a shirt. We'll sell it on something. Anyways, last note on fantasy. I had no idea what I was doing. The quarterback situation was crazy. So happy I played Jordan Love, because I had choices between Kyler Murray, Justin Fields, and Jordan Love. All three of them performed way better than I expected. I think Justin Fields got 5 more points than everybody was expecting, around 20 points. He made 5 more. Kyler made 7 more. But I played Jordan Love, who made 14 more points than I was happy.
I was just happy I played Amon-Ra St. Brown. I was thinking against it. So he did well again, and paid off. Now I think we can get back to this. Man, we just don't want to say anything about the Commanders when we've gone on.
What's there to really say?
We're good with the Commanders and good with the 49ers. I think we were actually on the 49ers because we were talking about the 49ers and Rams and talking about that. So I think we're good to move on.
Good. I can't wait to see what changes they make in the offseason for the Commanders, to be honest.
Yep. Hope they keep Eric Bieniemy because I think he'll actually be a great head coach. So
right, I do too. So with that being said, we'll move on to the Rams and the Giants, which
now we can talk about the Rams.
Right? I don't know what the Giants are. They very much should have won this game. They missed a field goal. They went for 2 points. They could have, because I think they could have tied it up with the extra point, but they went for 2 instead. Saquon Barkley definitely missed a couple passes in key spots. One being the 2-point conversion, and then the other being on like the final drive, which could have got him an extra few yards to maybe make that field goal. Because Mason Crosby barely missed that at the end.
So basically, how I feel is that Tyrod Taylor probably could have had 2 more wins Tyrod Tayller could have had 2 more wins for the Giants this season. Yes. Definitely should have won the Bills game. This one could have gone either way, but
all I'm going to say about the Giants is they're going to be changing quarterbacks because they'll get some help with some weapons and work and figure the wide receivers out. But Daniel Jones really isn't the answer when you look at how he played and then how competitive they got with Tyrod Taylor and even to a degree Tommy DeVito too. So I know you had to pay him, but I think that it would have been better to have paid Saquon, made him a deal, and just franchise tagged Daniel Jones, because now I don't know how the cap situation is going to work. I mean, it was a small deal. It was a short-term deal for compared to other quarterbacks. So I think they've got 2 years left on his deal. So that ain't going to be a big deal. Go look for something new. That's all I can really say.
All right, there's going to be there's going to be a ton of quarterback changes, I think, to the teams that aren't sure.
Right, Dable looked good.
I think they just had quarterback issues, and they can go for maybe another, just need a little more wide receiver help. I think or if these wide receivers grow better or evolve better, I think they're fine in a sense, because I think Wan'Dale Robinson is doing well, and Darius Slayton did good, and
yeah, I think you could see that they had some, not a lot, but they had some growth as the season went on, and especially when you didn't see Daniel Jones at quarterback. I think I liked Daniel Jones, but I don't know. I think he's a backup quarterback at best.
I think he just needs the right system. But Tyrod Taylor was really getting the most out of these weapons with seeing their yards and stuff. So
I'll be honest with you. This is going to sound crazy, but it probably would work. Trade him to the Falcons. The Falcons could actually do that. He feels like Arthur Smith
needs the running the quarterback that
Yes, I think he could get the best out of Daniel Jones. I think he'd get more out of the running back, and I think if he could just throw it long to Drake London, I think it could work out really good. I know I say everybody to Atlanta, but really, there's only a few choices, but they'd all make sense in Atlanta.
Well, we said Ryan Tannehill, Russell Wilson, and Daniel Jones, who all play similarly in the sense of athletic running quarterbacks.
And Daniel Jones is at least 5 or more years younger than those two.
So yeah, if I was going to take any of those 3, I would take the potential, the youth and potential of Daniel Jones.
Yeah, and you're not going to trade a first rounder for any of these guys, so try it. It cannot hurt, unless you can get Justin Fields.
Right, Justin Fields is definitely the one you go for, because he's like the best out of those 4.
If you're, I don't know. I keep saying I'm not a quarterback swing guy, but it's like you do need some. It's like we've talked about Russell Wilson before. We're going to talk more about him, but his stats didn't look good for the there were some mirages in those stats. So and he didn't get the wins. So I don't know if wins are important or if the team. I think it's a team thing more than quarterback wins. But yeah, Daniel Jones definitely has more wins than Justin Fields. But you can see that Justin Fields. There's just a few other things Justin Fields looks like he can do. But either choice would be good for them out of the I think my choices would probably be Justin Fields, Daniel Daniel Jones, Russell Wilson, and then Ryan Tannehill because of.
I might only go Ryan Tannehill. I think Russell has the better like potential right now to do better than Ryan, but Ryan knows Arthur Smith's system and would probably be cheaper than Russ.
Well, it depends on a few things, like cheaper if the Broncos can hold on to him and either trade him, depending on how that contract is, like depending on if he gets cut whatnot, Russ might actually be really cheap because he'd be getting the money from the Broncos. So that's something to keep in mind.
But you're right. It's like we sure like to go on about the Falcons
because there's a good team in there. There's something missing.
They still have their small shot at the playoffs.
They do.
I mean, it requires the worst team in the league to get another win, but.
Right. Anyways,
I think we talked a lot about like with some of the others with the Rams, but I mean they are looking hot at the right time.
Oh, I didn't actually. I just wanted to say one last thing about the Falcons Giants. The quarterback situation is just going to be interesting. That's really the last thing that I wanted to say about the whole Falcons and the QB carousel for next year. I'm excited to see where the Giants go from here too, because there are really good pieces there and a good coach. So I really want to see how they rebound from like a playoff year last year, from a slump year. Can they get out of that slump though?
Now, depends on how they do in drafting and free agency.
It does. Now, as far as the Rams go, I don't know what this team really is. Like, I know everybody says like they're dangerous, but they're dangerous like the Bills. Like yeah, they are probably the most impressive team we've seen lately. Against the Ravens, they won because they only lost on a punt return. I think in overtime for the Ravens to win. So like they're the only team that went toe to toe with the Ravens. So if they can win out and we get a Ravens-Rams Super Bowl, that could be amazing.
That would be more exciting than a rematch between the Ravens and the 49ers if they go any similarly to previous games. But
I don't think we're gonna have the same. I don't think those two teams are gonna be the same after the play. In the Super Bowl, I think it's gonna be a very different matchup.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, the Rams feel like they're more of an offensive juggernaut lately than they are a defensive juggernaut. Just with how many many yards like Kieran Williams and getting, how many yards Matthew Stafford's throwing for. Like, man, Cooper Kupp's barely even involved, but Puka Nacua and Demarcus Robinson had like 118 and 92 yards. So
right, so like, who are you supposed to cover? Like, okay, are we going to double team Cooper Kupp? Okay, so Puka goes off, Demarcus Robinson goes off, and Tutu Atwell goes off, and Tyler Higbee. They all can get the ball. If they can manage that, that's why they're dangerous. I'm just a little worried that they've only won these last couple of games by like a point or a few points. That that there were really there were just really close games. This one, there was another one that was kind of close with I know the Saints kind of came back. They played the Saints really well, but it's just like they win is just 26-25 doesn't it's like the Bills. Like I was saying, it's like these games are close where if you really are this much better team, like why aren't you just a little bit like it feels closer than it should be. But
right,
I'm definitely worried about the Rams.
Right, they're only winning by like a score in the last few games. So
but you know what, a win's a win, and as long as it's not like the Eagles from earlier on, I think they'll be dangerous in the playoffs.
Well, their biggest win they had in the last few weeks was week 13, and they kind of beat the crap out of the Browns, so that's impressive.
True. So we'll see what happens. The Rams are going to be dangerous in the playoffs. I know I kind of worry about how they are like Bills, but I'm a little more worried about the Rams. It could also end up randomly being a Rams-Bills Super Bowl, which would be absolutely nuts after the seasons they've both had.
I'm more worried about I'm worried about the Rams in the playoffs. The Bills are more. It's more worrisome about the Bills because they have yet to get into the playoffs.
Sure. Well, the Rams Lions is going to be a great game because they're both. That's the matchup, right? They're both locked in, or
no? I think the Lions have a shot at the 2 seed with the Cowboys.
Oh, okay. So that's why. Okay. So okay.
That is why. Matthew. That's why Jared Goff and Dak are still starting.
Right, because nobody wants to play the Rams, and I don't blame them. So, I mean, I'd also want to be as high a seed as I can possibly be. So,
I mean, your choice. So your choice for if you're the 2 seed, you get your choice of either the Seahawks, this is maybe an NFC South team, or maybe the Packers.
the only team I'd really worry about would be the Packers, but with that Joe Barry defense,
right? That Joe Barry defense might be given a gift, especially if you're the Lions, and as long as it's not a waxing give a spoon on Thanksgiving.
Thank goodness it's not Thanksgiving. But I'd still be worried. I'd almost like I'm like, do I want the Packers or do I want the Rams? So it'll be interesting to see. Anyways, I'm ready for it. I gotta go double check the times to see because I hope the Lions and the Cowboys are playing around the same time. So
let's see.
While you go check that, I'll just say like Aaron Donald still gets enough pressure that helps the rest of the defense, and that's what's kind of helping them, really get to the quarterback. Because I mean, if you don't stop Aaron Donald, he's just gonna get to them.
They have a lot of good defensive pieces, and no, they do not play at the same time.
I'm guessing Detroit in the morning and Dallas in the afternoon.
This is going to be the weird week. Just there's only 6 morning games. There are more afternoon games than there are morning games on Sunday.
That is weird.
There are like 7 afternoon games, like the 1:25 window.
I'm surprised that they're not having them play at the same time. Huh?
Unless this is listed wrong on ESPN's website, but I don't think so.
Right. Sounds like it probably. I mean, I'm checking on here too. Yeah. Dallas at Cowboys at Commanders. I'm surprised that's not a morning game, but Vikings at Lions. So we'll see. We shall see.
We're gonna the Rams and the 49ers. I don't even know if that's going to be broadcasted because then we said it's basically a preseason game.
Right. See how much coverage it gets on the red zone. Probably except for Puka, but that's about it. I think.
They'll cover the touchdowns, but it's going to be might be like Skronik getting them.
Mm-hmm. Puka might get one too. So. All right, next game. Steelers at Seahawks. That was it was back and forth early, but then every time the Seahawks felt like they were doing something good, the Steelers just came back and did stuff better.
Makes me wonder if Drew Lock should take over sometime. I don't know. Like I mean, I know that they won with Drew Lock at home, but they didn't manage to win here. I don't know if I don't know if they're ready or if anyone's ready to want to start a quarterback conversation, but I'm sure some fans are.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, Drew's also I think a little bit younger, so I don't know if he's just I know Gino did good in the preseason when last year, so, but I mean I guess we'll see at half. If they're struggling, they might try the switcheroo to start some offense just to change it up to see how because Gino might not be completely 100% to go.
Right. This definitely looked like I'm seeing the scoring summary. The battle of the field goals after a while in this game with Pittsburgh and Seattle. It was like the fourth quarter. Jason Myers, Chris Boswell, Jason Myers.
Yeah. I mean, but they had some good throws. There were some good plays, a lot of good runs, but that's why Mason Rudolph's going to start this weekend because I think if he gets it, I think he's going to be the starting quarterback at least through as long as they keep winning. If
he's getting the offense right, and they had 200 yards of rushing between the two running backs, and that's like Steelers football. They stay true to their identity of running the football and strong defense.
Well, when they finally realize that they've got 2 good running backs and that they can do that, then that's exactly what they should do. Now the big thing is they're playing Saturday afternoon.
Yes, they play the Ravens, who are playing their backup.
Yeah, they're playing Tyler Huntley. The big question is, what if they probably aren't going to have all their starters play on defense, but what if their starters versus some of those backups aren't working? Do you then put in Kenny Pickett if Mason Rudolph somehow struggling? I think so.
I mean, you play? But the question is, do you play Kenny if he's healthy?
I think you stay with Mason Rudolph because he's in the hot hand right now.
Right?
He's gotten 3 wins? No,
yeah,
2 wins.
2 wins. Basically, since he's been in, they've won.
Yeah,
started.
Yeah, I know he came in at the end of one game, but then because Mitch Trubisky wasn't getting it done, so
they probably would have been a higher. They would have more wins if Mason was playing those games. Mitchell did.
I think they'd have some more wins. Instead of not just Mitchell, but Kenny too. But we'll see. We shall see. It's going to be a fun game. This was there's a lot going on in the afternoon, but there was some good stuff to watch both of them play.
Yep, I wanted to say that. Well, the Steelers are going to be one of the teams that we'll see if affects Buffalo's playoff shots. But
who gets in? So if they win, Houston wins, and the Jaguars, or like who gets in? Does Pittsburgh get in, or does one of the AFC South teams get in?
For
if Jacksonville wins, like that wild card, that 7.
Okay, so if Jacksonville wins, the Steelers win, and Miami wins, that kicks Buffalo out. So that means I think that means the last AFC South team that wins gets in.
Okay.
At the 6th seed, because Miami can't play won't play either of the like second AFC South team.
If they
there's no position that like Miami that puts like Miami able to play against the Colts or the Texans.
Oh, you'd play like Pittsburgh or something?
Yeah, I think they move up if we win, they move up to the 6th seed.
Okay.
Yeah, because Buffalo is a choice as an opponent for Miami.
Okay. So Houston, we'll talk at the end about like what I think playoff predictions are going to be. So,
but with playoff talks, that makes me want to jump over to the Seahawks and say they have to. The Seahawks are fighting for their playoff chances against probably the worst team you'd want to play, the scrappiest team in the league of the Cardinals.
Which is funny because the Packers are an afternoon game on Sunday, along with the Seahawks at the Cardinals. So that's going to be a fun thing to keep an eye on.
Like the Cardinals, like they're not easy, and the Seahawks are so. I mean, they're inconsistent, which shows because they're 8-8. So which way is the coin going to land for them? Do they win and get into the playoffs, or do they lose and get knocked out because they couldn't beat couldn't beat one of the worst teams in the league, even though they're one of the scrappiest teams?
But it also doesn't matter because if the Packers win, they're in. If I'm not mistaken, right? Because they're the current. They're both tied at 8-8 right now, and I think the Packers are the current 7th seed. So I think if they win, they're in.
That is correct.
I am surprised that like I said, I'm surprised the Vikings and Lions are at 10 a.m. and not the afternoon. Just for that competitive thing. I mean, it's more. I know why, because the Eagles are also playing in the afternoon against the Giants. So it's more about who wins that and the division more than who gets the 2nd versus 3rd seed. Okay, I got you now, NFL. All right, we ready to move on?
Yep.
Chiefs and Bengals. Again, I know we talked about it earlier. Like, I don't know what the question's going to be if Blaine Gabbert has the wide receivers catching the ball. They just like the Dolphins last week. The Chiefs won with 5 field goals. Right. Harrison Butker had 5 field goals, right?
I think something like that. 6 field goals.
That makes sense. Yeah, they got one. Yeah, they got one touchdown. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Bengals really could have won that game. They had the lead for a while there in that first half, but they just kind of disappeared after a while.
Well, the Chiefs' defense is what's keeping them in the games here. I mean, they sacked Browning 6 times, so
right. They didn't score after 6 minutes. 6:23 left in the second quarter. So Bengals, if they could have just done some more, they good at that game. So we'll see. They got into the playoffs. We'll see how their first round matchup goes. Let's just say if they play Houston or even Indy, do not put it past that. I definitely see Indy play a lot like them. It's gonna depend on the run game and stuff. I don't know if I trust the wide receivers with the Chiefs. If Houston makes it, that defense could definitely get to Mahomes. I know. Here's the thing: CJ Stroud, even though it'd be his first time in the NFL playoffs, he played a really tough game against Georgia last season. So I think he'd be ready for the pressure.
Mhm.
And D'Amico Ryan's, not a head coach, but he's been to the playoffs as a coordinator. And I think he was even before he was coordinator. Wasn't he like? Did he coach in the Super Bowl? Maybe I forget.
Who?
D'Amico Ryan.
I forget.
So it's like it's not going to be an easy, I think there's some. I'm not going to put it past like the little experience of the Texans not having a lot of playoff experience to be able to go win a game in Kansas City. Honestly.
And if things do go wrong, we'll get Tyreek Hill's return to Arrowhead. And I think if we played them exactly how we do, if we can hold them like we did in Germany, and not have like crazy mishaps, I think we could beat them too.
Yeah,
I'm not sure who else are on the docket for the possible 6th seed between the Colts, Texans, and Dolphins.
well, I think that's about it, honestly. Unless there's a tie on Saturday night.
Can the Jaguars end up with it, or is it still or can the Bills end up with it if the Jaguars lose and Miami?
I don't know. There's too much to really figure out. And D'Amico Ryan did go to the Super Bowl with the 49ers. So
no, I still think the Bills have a slightly better advantage if the Bills end up in the 6th seed spot against them.
Yeah, but I'm glad D'Amico at least has that experience of coaching in the playoffs and the Super Bowl, even if he wasn't a head coach. It's gonna help. But that being said, the Bengals, nice try. I do think that if Jake Browning played the beginning of the season and let Joe Burrow rest up more, he may not have gotten injured for the whole season. And I think that they could have won. I think Cincinnati would have been in a playoff spot in the long term. But that's a big what if. We don't know. They got to wait till next season. I hope they're back. I love watching the Bengals. That being said, the Chiefs, I mean, of course, they got Andy Reid. They got Patrick Mahomes. But like I think I said to you, and I forget if I said to our friend Anthony, but he's a Chiefs fan. Honestly, right now, that offense goes through Isaiah Pacheco. He is their number one offensive player right now. Patrick Mahomes is number 2 just because his receivers are bringing him down. And Travis Kelce is too. And
Rashee Rice is the only one helping.
Yeah, he's number 3 because Travis Kelce just isn't getting it done. So like he used to. He is showing his age. So with that being said, I mean, there were so many there were more drop balls even without Kadarius Toney. I mean, MVS didn't have missed a few. One I blame on him. One I think Patrick Mahomes kind of overthrew it a little bit. I don't know if anybody else would say that, but that was the way it looked to me. Other than that, my biggest sorrow is that the Broncos wouldn't win more games because honestly, the Chiefs would be fighting for a wild card spot right now. Because the Broncos, if we just had some better quarterback play, got a little bit better coaching in the beginning, not just Sean Payton on the Raiders game, maybe the onside could have gone a little different, not have done it. The Raiders, Commanders, and the Jets lost. The Texans and the Patriots lost. If we could have turned any of those into wins, those were the big ones that hurt. The division, like if we just win 3 more of those, we'd be at 11-5, and the Chiefs would be fighting for a playoff spot this week, and or they would have it, and Buffalo would be out of it. I don't know, or no, Buffalo would have an advantage over that. They'd still be fighting for it. So I wish the Broncos could have done a little bit more because I just don't feel like the Chiefs have been a good team, but they feel like a wild card team. They don't feel like one of those teams that oh no, like they don't feel like the Ravens, and I guess they feel like the rest of the team. Maybe that's that's the problem, is that they don't feel like one of those top contenders like we're used to. We'll see what happens in the playoffs because they made it to the playoffs. So I can't root for them because they're my rivals, but I'm hoping for everybody else. Anything else to add to this game?
No, I'm good.
All right. Then we shall move on to finally the Broncos. There wasn't really a whole lot to say about the game other than there was a lot of injuries in this game. I know some fans are like, oh, but they did better against them when they played the Chargers in LA and in their home. Like, yeah, but we were also missing a lot less. I think Mims was out, and Cortland Sutton's out.
Also, didn't you play Brandon Staley when?
Yeah, also Brandon Staley was the head coach there.
Yeah, give if Smith is a better head coach than Brandon Staley at this point,
At
losing
least in a competitive sense.
Yeah,
But will I say that Jared Stidham and Russell Wilson played the same? Pretty much. It wasn't. It wasn't that. It was pretty equal. But you want to know what impressed me and the big thing that everybody doesn't talk about? He didn't turn the ball over, Jared Stidham. We didn't have any turnovers. Like that's what hurt us in the Houston game and the Patriots game and a few other games too.
It's kind of all
the Detroit game too. Yeah.
It's kind of all about context and all. But did Jared Stidham have a game like Russell Wilson? Yes, but look at but he didn't have he doesn't have Cortland. He was actually able to get three receptions out of Jerry Jeudy.
That's a lot for Jerry Jeudy, I think. I don't remember Jerry Jeudy having much this season.
And he was able to do it with little Jordan Humphrey, who was looking pretty good.
Little Jordan Humphrey was always looking good. I don't know why he couldn't get the like there were times where he looked good early on in the season. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know why Russ wasn't getting him the ball.
Right, I remember him in the preseason. I thought he was going to be something. Maybe next year he'll be more with whoever your new quarterback is.
I definitely hope he stays in Denver. I know he was kind of
he was with Sean Payton on the Saints, little Jordan Humphrey, so I think he'll stay.
I thought he was with the Patriots
he might. I don't know, but he was with Sean Payton before.
I just want to see a little. I was just happy to see him because I thought he was a late free agent or I thought he was on the practice squad.
Oh no, he was with New England last year, but the 3 years before that he was with New Orleans.
Okay, I don't really remember him with Saints, but I do remember him with Patriots, and so it makes sense. He signed. Okay, so that's why I remember him more on. He was released and then he was signed to the practice squad. He signed early on with Denver back in March of last year, and he was kind of like he kind of filled the spot. I feel like he could earn himself kind of like maybe like the third or fourth wide receiver spot next year.
Yeah, we'll see what you do at wide. We'll see what you do at wide receivers. I know you'll like Cortland and Mims. I know, but I don't know if you're going to keep Jerry Jeudy.
Right. I think he deserves a spot. Little Jordan Humphreys. Or Humphrey.
Yeah, Humphrey.
Okay. I think little Jordan Humphrey. I'm so butchering his name so much. Little Jordan Humphrey deserves a roster spot, and I wouldn't be I hope he gets it. Like he's played. I think he's played well in the games. When he gets moments I like how I see him play. Like I like how he plays. When I see him, I like how he plays.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he'll have a more. We'll see. Hopefully he'll have a good game against the Raiders this week.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it. The game was just I'm glad Denver got a win. I'm hoping we win this week so we can get a winning record because even though we're not making the playoffs, we definitely had a better team than what our record says, and if we could get a winning record, that I'm happy with that. Honestly, like that's a good first step.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. They can figure out the Russ situation in the coming months, but I see us getting a rookie quarterback, and which is going to be an interesting experience because the Broncos haven't really had one, and Sean Payton never really had one. So
right,
unless there's, and I'm not necessarily saying I want like Justin Fields or some kind of because Drew Brees was really good, but he got injured, and the Chargers drafted Phillip Rivers. So could there be like a reclamation project, maybe, but I don't know if I'd really want to see Carson Wentz or I don't know who I'd want, honestly. It's gonna be an interesting offseason.
I don't know if you'd want to see Daniel Jones.
No. I think I'd rather see a rookie.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Sean Payton with a rookie. I want to see how that goes because he'd be able to pick who he wants, and I don't think we've ever seen that happen as far as quarterbacks go, unless it's Taysom Hill. I think that's the only one he really picked.
I still think he deep down wishes he had Taysom Hill under.
I do.
I think you might trade for him too. Never know.
I can't think of any other quarterbacks that Sean Payton drafted, or at least drafted, I should say, and actually really got a lot of play out of. I think Chase Daniels might have been one of his guys, but never really started. It was Drew Brees.
Yeah, Chase Daniels was one of those backups who played, who didn't. I think played
he went
a lot
everywhere.
But I feel like there's plenty of options. I think you'll probably draft a rookie, but you also might get Justin Fields. Who knows?
Technically, Sean Payton didn't even draft him. He went undrafted, and then didn't looks like he was he didn't make he got cut by Washington back in 09, and then Saints signed him to the practice squad in 09.
The only quarterback I remember, I think Sean Payton drafted, but it wasn't when he was a head coach, was that he got Tony Romo to go to the Cowboys instead of going to the Broncos. When Sean Payton was at the Cowboys, and
yeah,
he was the one who got Tony Romo there.
I forgot that like I forgot who the guy was that got him there. Like, because I remember Mike Shanahan was
I forgot who your quarterback was at the time, but like
I think it was like Jake Plummer, but I know they were trying to, he wanted somebody to back up and trying to get him. So it's like he lost out to the Cowboys. I think they were paying him more or something. So.
Yeah, they paid him more or something and had the better opportunity there.
I think we could have won a Super Bowl with Tony Romo with some of the teams that we had.
Probably,
but probably wouldn't have had Payton. So it all worked out.
Right, but so yeah, he did. He did have Tony Romo under. He does have in a sense Tony Romo.
Yes. For a couple seasons or one or something like that.
I forgot. I don't remember how long Sean Payton was on the.
But we have definitely gone off track with there's not much to talk about the Chargers and the Broncos. I'm just happy that the Broncos won. We'll see how Jordan Stidham does. Jared. Yes. I knew I said it wrong right as soon as I came out of my mouth.
Saying little Jordan a little too much.
Yeah. I want to see little Jordan Humphrey, get another touchdown this week. But he had some good catches. He had a good catch besides the touchdown. He had some good. No, that was just. He had a really good touchdown.
He had two receptions for 69 yards, and
He worked. I believe he worked his ass off to get that touchdown. That's what I'm remembering.
Yeah, let's see his longest one was 54 yards.
That's the one that I remember. Yeah. So he just ran his ass off. So like that's the kind of stuff I like to see. I don't remember seeing that out of a lot of other wide receivers other than Cortland this year. So
right. I think Mims has the potential to be like that. They just need to get Mims in open space.
And make sure he doesn't turn over the ball. I mean he got he was the kick punt returner this year, so like I think that's where he got a lot of his experience. So it's going to be interesting to see if he takes the next
step up.
Yeah, he jumps up and makes the next step to being number 2 guy. Because I think it's within him to be that guy. All right. Last thing I just wanted to add was thinking about the whole stuff with Russ and Sean Payton and everything is like I think there's a lot to it, but the money is one thing. I think that Sean Payton might have wanted to see how Jarrett Stidham did, just so we know what it's like. Does he need to improve? Because his offense does need to improve a little bit if that's the case. But realistically, one thought that I saw nobody talk about, and I saw somebody on Twitter mention was that why does there need to be a villain in this case? Like, why are people like trying to go after Russ or go after Sean Payton? And I'm like, you're right. Like there doesn't really have to be. Like, I'm rooting for the organization, and I don't feel like I don't feel like Russ was playing up to his value. What we paid him, and so I do agree with Sean Payton, but it doesn't mean that we should be like, oh, Russ so bad. Like, why is he doing? Why didn't he want to do so? Help the team and stuff like that. Like, so it's like I think there's a good point of of that. Like maybe this is just not a good fit, and we that happens because there are times like that, and we could even say sometimes it's just bad coaching because we can see in some of the numbers like with Justin Herbert under Kellen Moore, and same thing with Dak Prescott. It just hasn't worked as good as other times. So
I mean, look at Tua's offensive coordinators before Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, sometimes sometimes people don't fit. Like honestly, you could say what you want about, like, first of all, Baker was hurt in Cleveland at the end of his time there. He should have came out of the game, pulled himself, and said, no, I'm done. Like, I need a rest. I know a lot of players think the best ability is availability, but that's only if you got to be healthy. You got to be able to do some of that.
I mean,
your basic. You have to be able to do some of those basic things and not be in pain, because pain can make it not be able to. It can affect your mind because of how much you're hurting, and your body's not fully, doesn't have that full strength.
Well, yeah, yeah, but that ties into availability. Availability means like you at your best self, that you're not putting yourself at risk to be hurt later.
I think we need to add something to it. It's like it's not availability. Availability shouldn't be availability shouldn't be the best ability. Your best ability. There's more to being
It's
your best ability.
I mean, no, the availability is the best ability is a pun off that availability has ability in it.
Right, and I think I think it's a bad mindset. I think it needs to be your best ability.
Well, the thing is
to be at your best ability.
Well, the thing is that what it comes down to is that sometimes it's up to the coaches to protect the players from themselves, because most of the time they have pride and they're going to play even if they're hurting because they want to, and they want to succeed. They think they can do it.
And I think that's where I dislike Kevin Stefanski. I still hold that against him. I don't think he was a good head coach up until maybe this season. I think he knew how to get plays out and work with players, but I don't think he knew how to coach to his best ability. And I think Baker was kind of a casualty of that. Honestly, I don't think anybody's time in Carolina should be held against him. I think that Baker, I mean, yeah, sure, Adam Thielen has had a pretty, pretty decent there, but
well, let's go with anyone's time under with
no, anyone in the last few years, I should say.
I guess David Teffer's Panthers,
most likely, but that's really what I meant when I said like time with the Panthers. It's just like within these few years, like especially Baker. I mean, even look at Christian McCaffrey when he was good there, but like he's great now outside of the and DJ Moore has really become a number one receiver being outside of Carolina. And I just want to say that Baker he had better games last season in LA, and to tie it all together, he's had some of the same touchdowns as and interception numbers to Russell Wilson, but he's had more yards. You can see he's played. There's some things he does a little bit better than Russ, in my opinion, after watching some of Baker's games. So I guess my point being is like I said from the beginning, you look at those Carolina, you look at that Carolina time in Carolina, and you can see that was the mistake. That was the outlier. He's been pretty good.
Well, he's good under good coaching, and there wasn't good coaching when Baker was playing, and you can see that because look at Baker and Sam Darnold, who are both on playoff teams now. I know Sam Darnold's a backup, but we'll see how he does in the system this week. And just Baker, I feel is thriving right now, and
right. But the point wasn't really about Baker. It was to show an example of like Russ could go to somewhere else and actually get another chance. And if there's a coach out there that wants to coach him and sees that there's something there, like I think that's the big thing. I feel like there are a lot of good not every coach player combination is going to work, and I think that's the big thing. People I think there is not a lot of people like Peyton Manning. When you realize that Peyton Manning, I believe, is the only quarterback, I think he is the only quarterback, because I can't think of anybody else that made it to 4 different Super Bowls with 4 different head coaches. And
I mean, there were 4 very good. I think there were 4 very good head coaches.
I mean, I think that there was.
But Peyton was. I think that just shows how good Peyton was.
Right. I think Tony Dungy was the most excellent coach he had. I think Jim Caldwell is a great coach. John Fox was a good coach, and Gary Kubiak, I think, was an excellent coach who just never had. I think he was great to excellent. I don't know if we had enough of him as a head coach in the NFL to really determine.
I don't think we had enough Jim Caldwell for similar.
Honestly, yes, both of them. I can say that they didn't have enough time to see if they were truly excellent, and I wish Jim Caldwell would get another chance as a head coach sometime soon. But we'll see. He would actually probably be one of the best fit for the Carolina Panthers.
Right. But I know the whole point of there is part of it was why did there need to be a villain or something? And there is no villain when it comes down to this. There is no villain unless it comes down to the Brian Flores Tua situation, where yes, Brian Flores was legitimately the villain and trying because he was basically destroyed Tua's confidence. And if you destroy basically a player's confidence, not just Tua's, but he destroyed Austin Jackson's as well. Well, they both basically came out and said that. I don't know why Brian Flores. I know we're probably some of the only people who still talk about
about Brian Flores because
I don't know why he's still in the league, honestly.
Well, I don't know if he should get another head coaching chance because he, like you want to talk about like Sean Payton yelling at, that was on national TV. But you want to know what? If there's some open and honest dialogue between them, that's something. But like if you're doing this shit behind closed doors like Brian Flores did and destroying players' confidence between Austin Jackson and Tua, like what kind of shit is that? Why are more people not? Why do more people just want to ignore that? Because Russ won a Super Bowl? Because is that it? Because he was paid 200 some odd million? Because Brian Flores didn't win a Super Bowl like Tua's new
it might even be more than Tua because Tua's doing better, Austin Jackson's doing better. I don't know if Jacoby Brissett had shit happen behind him because Jacoby Brissett's doing better too.
I can see him being a starter if somebody else, if a rookie in Washington wanted to sit behind, they have him sit behind under Eric Bieniemy as the head coach. I can see that.
Right? It's just like I know he sued had the lawsuit against Steve Ross, and you know what? He's the very like polarizing figure that he himself was a victim, but he victimized others too. So he is both. It's like he is both like a hero in one part of the story, but a villain in the other part of the story.
Well, and the big thing to remember is there are three sides to every story. There's what Party A said, what Party B said, and the truth. And I don't think we'll ever find out what the truth is.
I don't know about between Steve Ross and him, but you can tell from Tua and Austin Jackson that he destroyed them. And honestly, it seems like since he left the Dolphins, like with Pittsburgh and the Vikings, that he's been a better head coach. He's been a better like coach from like what the defensive players say, but he might only get along with defensive players, and it might be a mistake if he becomes a head coach.
It might be. I mean, honestly, I don't think for almost the same reason. Josh McDaniels, he destroys people too. He alienates and I mean, he's gotten rid of people. Basically, in his 4 years, not 4 full years as a head coach, Josh McDaniels got rid of Jay Cutler, Brandon Marshall, Matt Prater, Derek Carr,
Darren Waller.
And Darren Waller was because I think something about his wedding to Kelsey Plum, and that he said he wasn't. I don't know if he wasn't invited or something. And I'm just like really a lot of this has been over petty crap. So we've talked about the Bill Belichick tree of coaches and stuff. It's bad fruit.
It's bad fruit. He's a good tree, but he does not grow good fruit.
So
even Bill O'Brien seems like he was berating Mac Jones on TV. I've seen the video of that. I'm like I can see Mac have a resurgence with another team.
We'll see about that, but there's a lot of I think there was a lot of polarizing it was polarizing when that news broke. But we have seen instances like you said, Bill O'Brien. The difference between I don't really want to get into some of the reasons with stuff, but a lot of people don't talk about that one. But it's like Mac Jones is you get like there's a lot of reasons why like some look not as bad, but but there's just a lot with these coaches, these players. Like sometimes, but that's like any work situation. Sometimes the energies don't clash. Like they clash, they don't mix well. So that being said, and there was a lot said, I'm hoping for the best for the Broncos. I hope, I don't think Sean Payton deserves a lot of hate. I don't think Russ deserves a lot of hate. I hope Russ can get a fresh start. And I hate to say it, but, there's some coaching and stuff you can see in the coaching. That's why right now the Broncos are 8-8. And I think that it's, and we really haven't been this good since Gary Kubiak.
Right.
And a lot of it comes down to coaching.
I wish he didn't have health problems, because for both himself and for the Broncos, because imagine if you still you wouldn't have gone through this carousel, and I'm sure Trevor Siemian might have been able to do okay under Gary Kubiak,
or at least somebody would have been able to work some more stuff, and who knows what would have happened, especially if Gary Kubiak knows John Elway, maybe they could have seen something, maybe they would have been able to find another quarterback, who knows, maybe Flacco would have worked well under Gary Kubiak. You never know.
Right? He might have. I mean, look at Flacco now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know we talked about talking about Joe Flacco, but man, I don't know what Browns fans would do if the Super Bowl magically ended up Buccaneers Browns. About talking about Baker and Baker beats them.
Oh man, that would be crazy. I mean, it's as crazy as Joe Flacco beating Lamar too. So like, I mean, crazy as in like you gave up the old. It's like the old quarterback beat. Yeah, was he worth getting rid of? This could have been you winning. All right. So
we're gonna have a lot. We're gonna have a lot of those. There's gonna be a lot of those games coming up about the old quarterback and was it the right decision?
Right. Well, so far the only one that has paid off right now has been
Matthew
Stafford. But if Jared Goff wins the Super Bowl this year,
fair trade.
Actually, it's kind of a steal from the Lions because the Rams gave up like 2 first-rounders and Jared Goff. So if Jared Goff wins one, who looks better here? The Lions. So I kind of hope they do win, especially since, first Super Bowl in Vegas, new team winning. That'd be nice.
Yeah, so with the Dolphins winning, but
I mean that's for other reasons.
Yes.
Anyways,
move on to the last game.
Yes, Jordan Love and the Packers saving my championship, my fantasy championship. Woo! I know I mentioned it before, but Jordan Love was like the ranked 6th in fantasy football for the QB. He got 6th ranked in points for the QB. Like I'm still astounded by that. But
it depended on. It really was up and down for weeks.
There were actually only like 2 really bad weeks for fantasy points, but he found his rhythm. He really got to see if you watch the games like how he really learned how to his style, his quarterbacking, his movement, his momentum, like it just gelled. He finally learned how to gel. Like that's the word I was looking for. Like everything came together. I will say couple impressive things. They won without Christian Watson, and I didn't realize. I don't know if he's been out for more than a week or so, but is it Jaden Reed?
Yeah,
he's come up. He's been playing great. Romeo Dobbs is solid. So if Christian Watson comes back, like if they have 3 wide receivers, and then they've got a couple tight ends with what was it? I know the new guy. I know like Melton was one
Melton. No. Melton's another wide receiver.
Oh, he's a wide receiver? Okay.
Yeah, so I wanted to you were going I wanted to mention about Melton Cheese. Sorry, we were saying because his name was Melton and they're the cheeseheads, so it was like Melton Cheese.
No, see, my thing was hunka Melton Love.
Yes.
That was my thing. It was like Melton Love. Yeah.
I think I was the one with Melton Cheese.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was who was the other who was their tight end?
Tucker Kraft.
Yeah.
Ironic with the cheese stuff.
But they did good. I feel like they're they've really come to gel like this season. So hopefully next season's going to be even better.
Well, yeah, and what was it? Luke Musgrave, who they drafted. He was injured too, so I don't think he played. So
yeah, he's the other tight end I know that was I think he had a pretty decent connection with Jordan Love earlier. So like if Jordan Love's just getting the best out of his weapons, like we're gonna see that team have their 3rd quarterback, like I said at the beginning of this podcast with the predictions. So
but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. It looks good right now, and it's probably only up from here. But we'll have to see. Make sure it's not just a fluke.
Right. I mean, 1 year is too early, but if I'm hoping they make a playoff next week.
Right. Also happy they beat, as we were talking about. Happy they beat Brian Flores' defense.
Yes. Other than that, for Jaron Hall, he needs a little more time. He was not quite ready.
Not ready for a Joe. If you can't do much against Joe Barry's defense, I don't know what to say.
I mean, I think I would have. I don't know. Josh Dobbs and Nick Mullins would have been the way to go.
Nick Mullins had better stats than him.
Well, yeah, he only played a half. So. But no, I forget. Are the Vikings officially out of the playoffs?
Yes.
Okay.
I think anyone 7-9 is eliminated, unless they're in the NFC South.
Yeah, because they only can get in if they win, because they can win the division at 8 and 9. So we'll see what happens with that one. But
my bad. The Vikings are not eliminated. They're mathematically still in it.
I don't even know how that's possible.
Well, I believe it's the Packers have to lose, the Seahawks have to lose, the Saints have to lose, and the Vikings have to win.
And the Bucks have to win, right?
I assume so. Yeah, because if they lose and would move one of the, if the Saints
Or unless the Panthers have to win too, because that would knock the Falcons into the division title, so the Vikings would still have a chance to make it.
Yeah, so I guess the Buccaneers would have to if the Buccaneers lost and the Falcons won because I said the Saints have to lose, then yeah, the Vikings and the Falcons both get it in all messed up scenarios of the NFL and the NFC.
I hope that doesn't happen because those are not playoff worthy teams. Definitely not the Vikings.
I'm like listening to what I'm saying. I'm like, how is this a possibility?
You say it and I hate it.
Like I'm just going to look up the clinching scenario to see how I want to see how ridiculous it is.
Yeah, go for it. I kind of want to know the same.
Yep. So if the the Buccaneers does not matter. The Buccaneers game does not matter to the
okay.
to the Vikings getting in.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, yeah, because of all the other ones I said. If the Bucks win, they're in. If the Bucks lose, the Falcons get in, and I guess the Buccaneers don't beat out the Vikings then.
I guess not. I don't know how it all works, but if they get in there, they're going to lose to like whatever team they face. I can't imagine them making it past round one again. Or no, they didn't even make it past round one last year.
So what if the Vikings won? So what if the Vikings would win? That would put them against I guess the NFC East because
or Detroit.
No, they play Detroit. So if the Vikings win, they've ruined Detroit's chances. So if they get into the playoffs, they're playing Dallas or the Eagles, and maybe they have a shot at the Eagles.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
No, I'd rather have two NFC South teams.
At least the Saints, yeah.
It's like I don't know if I want the Vikings possibility, and I'd rather have the Bucks Saints one in.
I think Green Bay is gonna. I trust Green Bay. I think they're playing in Lambeau this year, right now, this week too. So.
Well, the Bears are playing hot. So granted, they haven't beat the Packers, but all streaks come to an end eventually.
Right. Well, I'm rooting for the Packers against the Bears, so I'll definitely be watching that game as much as I can, as well as the Broncos and a few other teams that I want to see win. So
yeah, those 7 afternoon games.
Gonna be crazy. I wish they had more afternoon games in general.
Right. I don't understand it. I don't understand why you just want 3 after. I mean, I get it granted, I get it on the East Coast. It's like 4 o'clock and goes into evening, but so.
Right. I'd rather be able to watch more teams in the afternoon than being stuck with like 10 games in the morning last week.
Right.
That was ridiculous.
Right.
Anything more than 8, I think 8 is the perfect number in the morning, and then the rest in the afternoon. Besides, a couple Mondays or 2 on Monday, Sunday night, and a Thursday. But like at least maybe 5 in the 4 or 5 in the afternoon. Like like 4 to 5 in the afternoon is I think is better. And then also like for us like when we got morning game, afternoon game. When we went to the East Coast back when we visited Connecticut, like for us it was so weird to be like, oh, it's 1 o'clock, the games are starting. Like, oh, this is the first game for us. 1 o'clock. That's the second game.
Yeah, no, I don't. It's like So on the East Coast they're used to having a ton of games at 1 o'clock. We want a ton of games at 1 o'clock,
right?
Though I will say the strangest experience watching it was when I was in the UK. When I was in the UK and it was in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
like staying up to watch the late game.
I mean, I was gonna say it did help that your ex-girlfriend's dad was in football too. So.
I mean, her family was.
Oh yeah. So nothing really here to say about the Vikings. We'll see what happens. I just was really impressed. I'm really impressed with the Packers. Like. I shouldn't say I'm really impressed. I am impressed, but I'm happy because I thought Jordan Love and the Packers had the ability to do this. Because you could see Aaron Rodgers last year. He just didn't have as much.
Probably would have made the playoffs if Jordan Love played last year.
I could see that.
But revisionist history.
Right? Not to say that they've got kind of the same record right now. But we'll see. It's a bet. Yeah. But I think that's better for a first year starting at quarterback for the full season than somebody like year 18, and I mean, because you're just seeing the age, the age hit him. So like if he's getting older, so you just can't do everything you used to be able to do. So it sucks, but it is what it is. So all right, anything else? We're good here.
Yeah. the Vikings, just like I do, miss Kirk Cousins, and
Right. Well, before we go, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but it's just fun for a little thing. I think the Dolphins win. I think the Dolphins are going to want to fight to win, so they kick Buffalo out of the playoffs. I think, and I think Pittsburgh, I think, has a chance at making it, and I think they will win because they're playing their starters, and they're not, and Baltimore's not playing the Ravens. But at the same time, as much as I don't want if I'm the Ravens, even though I don't want Lamar to get hurt, I don't want my opponent. I don't want my divisional rival that I've had struggles with to make the playoffs. So if I can do with less AFC North teams, then I kind of want to play my toughest football that I can without Lamar to try, and that's probably what they're trying to do. So, but I can still see Pittsburgh. I don't know. It's going to be a tough one because are they playing in Baltimore or?
Yeah, they're playing in Baltimore, but it's just an AFC North rivalry. It's a slobber knocker by default.
Mm-hmm. So, if Mason Rudolph has as good a plays solid football, I think they win, and I think Buffalo and I think Houston wins. So I think the Colts and the Bills are not. No, I think the Bills are gonna get in, and I think Steelers. As much as it's so tough to call. I can see
the Bills only. I mean, how you said about the Dolphins win and kick the Bills out. Well, I feel like what's going to happen is it's going to end up Dolphins and Bills round 1, then Dolphins and Bills round 2. I know it's technically round 2 and then round 3, but in the sense of, I mean, well, Jacksonville did play strong, so it's really up to between Jacksonville and the Steelers because they're the ones that if they win, they basically keep the Bills out.
Yeah, because Houston would
if Houston wins, they I guess overlap and take the 6th seed.
Yeah. It's gonna be tough. I can definitely see the Steelers and the Bills both make it and miss it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to predict right now because everybody's gonna be fighting for it, and I can see the Steelers so against the Ravens because it's like I said. So, but I can also see Buffalo beat the Dolphins. I hate to say it, but I can see it.
I don't know what to expect from our game, but with the Dolphins and the Bills, we've both been playing like just up and down this entire year. So
all I know is that like the Bucks are gonna work their ass off so that they get that win and they're in, and then I do think, and I can see Chicago wanting to play spoiler to the Packers, but I can see the Packers really wanting to win and doing everything that they have been doing to get that win.
The Packers are, you know what the biggest problem with the Packers is? Joe Barry's defense. And Justin Fields playing hot.
Being able to run it, yeah, that's going to be tough.
And being able to run it and throw it. This isn't like Justin Fields is like, I think, evolved into a better quarterback this year, finally. And I think that might affect the Packers' chances. And if you're the Packers, if you're a Packers fan, I know you want to win, but you really want to keep Joe Barry more?
I don't think he's got a chance at really, keeping his job. If they win a Super Bowl and that defense plays wild, that might be the only way.
I feel like Joe Barry is the equivalent of Josh Hoyer, Miami's defensive coordinator last year, and we were 8-8 going into week 18, needing the win to get into the playoffs, and we did it, and then lost, and he was fired. So they might just mirror us.
I could see it, but I'd still give him a chance against the Eagles and the Cowboys. So
yeah, but they might play the Lions, and it's not, and like we said, not Thanksgiving, and I don't know about the phase of the moon. I have to check on the phase of the moon, though.
All right. With that being said, we didn't really say much predictions. My big ones, I think I'm going with the Packers.
I magically want the 2 NFC Souths.
I'm going with the Packers and the Texans. Those 2 teams I feel the best on. So anything else to add? Because I'm ready to wrap it up.
Yeah, I think the Texans have a good shot, and it's like I don't know with certain things, but with who I want Miami to play in the playoffs. So like with 7th seed or the 6th seed, or like with Miami and 6th seed, so it's just a whole mess. But yeah, I'm pretty good.
All right, well, with that, I just want to say Happy New Year. Thank you for joining us. Please like, subscribe, share, give us some feedback. We'd love to hear it. Let us know if you want to hear more about your team. If you'd like some shorter podcasts, team specific podcasts, let us know. We're happy to get some feedback and listen to what you think. So pretty new to this sports podcasting, but we're enjoying it so far. So, like I said, give us some feedback. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you here next week for week 18 and the finale of the regular season of the 2023 NFL season. Again, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you here next time. Bye.